Hey guys, welcome to the WWE podcast, the flagship show of the week in review. Tonight we've got the SmackDown review host, Michael Ritter, here joining me to discuss everything going on in WWE right now and where things could be going as live in-person events start in just a few short weeks that I'm sure we are all looking forward to. Of course, the rumored returns of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Becky Lynch are all on the table, but we look back and look forward this week, and you guys are going to enjoy this over 2 hours of Michael and myself looking at where we're going with WWE and, of course, where we are. So, guys, stick with us. We'll be right back after this. Go check them out, guys. It's grindbrewcoffee.com.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your number one source for the latest in WWE news and straightforward analysis. Are you ready to get this thing going?
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
Then let's get this show started right now.
Hey guys, and welcome to the WWE Podcast Week in Review here. Got a lot to get to today with Michael Ritter and myself completely breaking down the WWE product pretty much into a fine powder, as they say, with everything from on Raw and SmackDown this past week and looking ahead to Money in the Bank and beyond, as we are just a mere few short weeks away from human beings returning, real human beings, not LED boards, returning to the audience. And it's going to be an awesome time for all involved. I don't think anybody can wait, from performers to production to management to the fans themselves, of being able to come back in front of WWE to tell them what we think about what's going on and not just pump in the crowd noise of which they've been able to play God with over the last 16 months. So it's going to be awesome. That is just a few weeks away. Of course, we saw the big return this past week on SmackDown. Michael and I discussed that right at the top of the show, and it's just a blast being able to talk about that with him and everything else, and connecting with him, connecting with any of our co-hosts is always great, especially when you talk to somebody that's just so intelligent about wrestling like Michael, and so I think you'll enjoy it just as much as I did. But first, guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show, helping it grow. We are continuing to ascend here in the ratings and everything else, and it's because of you that we are able to do that, and thank you so much. If you want to help support the show even further, of course, you can do an ad-free experience. You don't want the ads and all that stuff, head on over to Patreon, get yourself signed up for $1. You get everything, including, much more, not just ad-free, but $1 gets you in the door, as well as on Apple Podcasts. There's now a subscription button if you have iOS 14.6 or later. So make sure you download the latest software update. But if you do, then we have Apple Podcast subscriptions where all of our shows are ad-free. Plus, you get Wrestling Nostalgia there. Okay, Wrestling Nostalgia is included on the Apple Podcast feed, and everything's ad-free as well. You just hit subscribe, and it's free for 3 days if you want to try us out. And then after that, it's just $2.99 a month. So head on over there if you're on an Apple device and you have the most updated iOS software. It will be there. All right. Well, guys, I will be back Tuesday with your Monday Night Raw review. And of course, the rest of the week is going to shape out pretty normal. It's not a pay-per-view week, so it'll be a pretty by the numbers week. So everybody, thank you so much for listening and subscribing and supporting the show. It really does help us out, and give us a 5-star rating and review if you can. That also is the best way to help us. So everybody, thanks so much. As always, talk to you next time. All right, everybody, welcome to the Monday Night Raw, and SmackDown Week in Review here with Michael Ritter. You guys know him from his SmackDown review that he does every single week, and it is now available, by the way. And I'm really excited to talk about this week in WWE with, of course, a massive return in Edge. We have Roman Reigns getting beaten down. We have Drew McIntyre out of the WWE title picture to the applause of everyone, I'm pretty sure. And we are just a mere few weeks away from real fans in person returning live. And that brings in Michael Ritter, who will be attending in Houston for, is it SmackDown or Raw, my friend?
Yeah, it's SmackDown for sure. So that is the cool thing about it, is getting to do a quote unquote on-site coverage, because I do have pretty good seats as well. I'm ninth row behind the commentary table, so I'll be on the floor and I'll be able to have a good shot of the Jumbotron and people as they're coming out. So I'm definitely looking forward to that experience just by itself.
Oh, no, that's awesome. And, I know that I'm sure you're pumped. I want you to encourage everybody around you. Don't just cheer to cheer. If something's bad, don't just cheer because you're excited to be back. Make sure you still keep it real with WWE. This is our chance to no longer be told what to do, but rather we tell WWE what is good and bad. So, I'm really excited to have you here. And let's start out with the big news. I mean, I'm not gonna, bury the lead, but at the same time, we got to talk about Edge. Right? Edge has returned. He's back. He's got a longer beard, and he has attacked Roman Reigns this past week after the Universal Championship address. So I got to say, did you enjoy this? Did you expect it? What did you think about Edge returning?
I did enjoy it. Absolutely did not expect it. I thought that Seth Rollins was kind of hinting that he might be the guy that was up next for Roman Reigns. So whenever they were kind of talking about it, whenever Edge's music hit, I was definitely, I don't want to say blown away, but I definitely did not expect it at all. Whenever he actually came out and then got the better of Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso, I was like, man, they are really going to go through with this one-on-one because that's kind of what I wanted back during the WrestleMania season. I wanted to see Edge versus Roman Reigns, the battle of the two eras, spear versus spear, which would have been a much better match than a spear versus spear for Roman Reigns and Goldberg. I definitely would rather see Edge and Roman Reigns. So I was excited, in that regard. I did kind of wonder exactly what his reasoning was for attacking Roman Reigns, just given that, he kind of lost fair and square at WrestleMania, and he didn't lose the championship. Roman Reigns went in as a champion. So I was kind of just confused as to why Edge out of nowhere attacked Roman Reigns. Do you have any, thoughts or theories as to what is going on behind that?
Well, it seems as if this is pointing to a Money in the Bank match, and eventually we will move on to, I think, an Edge and Rollins matchup at SummerSlam, given that, as you just said, Seth Rollins claimed to be the next one in line. Then you have at the end of the show, Edge jumped the line in front of Seth Rollins, and I think that is a good setup and a foundation to be laid for a Edge and Rollins SummerSlam match. Now, he could actually be the reason that Edge loses, I think, at Money in the Bank, where after he moves on from Cesaro, you could see Rollins come out and screw Edge out of the championship, leading to their match at SummerSlam. Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh, definitely. And I kind of mentioned that on the SmackDown review, how if it doesn't somehow lead to like a triple threat scenario, that I could definitely see Seth Rollins coming out there to screw over Edge just to, speed up that whole program with him. Because I heard those rumors as well. The SummerSlam with Edge and Seth Rollins. I would love that. We all know the history there, given that Seth Rollins did what he did to him back whenever Edge had short hair and he was retired still. We never thought we'd see Edge in the ring again. And I'm sure Seth Rollins didn't either whenever he did that. And so the fact that we were actually going to get that, it's not a matter of if, it's definitely when. I'm definitely excited. But I do agree that I think Seth Rollins is going to, for sure, have something to do with that finish at Money in the Bank, because it just makes too much sense. Exactly like you said, Edge jumped the line. Seth Rollins is the type of guy that's definitely going to acknowledge that, no pun intended, and definitely kind of come out there and, if it's not next week, at the very latest, Money in the Bank, do something about Edge, jumping the gun on him.
Right. No, it does make too much sense, and that's fine with me. I don't need to have a big surprise here. I'm fine with logical steps being made. And I hope that when Edge and Rollins does happen, and it's going to, that just like you said, that they actually bring back what happened about, like you said, I think it was about 6 years ago when Edge was still retired and he was threatening to break Edge's neck if Cena didn't bring back the Authority or something. I believe that was the story, and he was going to break Edge's neck. And so I hope that they actually bring that into the forefront and they don't just pretend that never happened and actually use it. And so I'm also not sad that we never got a Roman and Goldberg match. Like I don't care that never happened. I don't need it. I don't want it. Roman and Goldberg, fine. Keep them apart. I'm glad it didn't happen at WrestleMania. That's fine with me. I don't need to see Goldberg again unless it's in a heel role. If they want to bring in heel Goldberg, by the way, I'm all for a heel Goldberg because he should be a heel at this point with a guy that's 56 years old that comes in and is just entitled to a championship match every time he steps foot in the ring, which is just preposterous. So, any other thoughts on Edge returning here, or at least here's my question actually: how do you think the fans are going to respond to Edge in this role against Roman Reigns? Do you think they'll look at it and go, "Hey, yeah, Edge, we love you, but it's it shouldn't be you that challenges Roman Reigns; it should be somebody else"? Or do you think that they'll look at this and go, "Oh man, this is awesome. We know that Edge isn't going to win, and he's not. Let's be honest." But this is, we're on board for the ride. We're here. We want to see what happens. We want to see the finish of this. Which side of the coin do you think most fans are going to land on when they get back in person in a few weeks?
See, I'm actually glad that you asked that, because I do want to touch back on something you mentioned just a little bit ago. Rest assured, because I've heard you mention on other shows that you hope fans are, going to be vocal about how they feel and not just try to, be happy that they're there. I am 100% going to be vocal and, boo who I want to boo, cheer for who I want to cheer for. So definitely I'm going to be a pretty vocal fan, and I'll definitely encourage the people around me to do the same. But as far as Edge goes, I was actually kind of disappointed that his return didn't happen that night in Houston, because I actually wanted to be a part of that, kind of just, to cheer, because I 100%, like, my gut tells me that I would have cheered for Edge whenever he came out. Main reason why, or at least to make it believable for myself, is that he didn't get the one-on-one opportunity. Daniel Bryan was in the way, and that, he can lean on that in a promo and kind of blame that and use that as an excuse. I don't think Edge will. He'll more than likely own up to it, but he might at least mention it, like, hey, you didn't beat me one-on-one. So that's why, if this does happen really quickly about Seth Rollins again, I don't hope that they go the triple threat route, and I don't think they will. It's already been announced one-on-one at Money in the Bank. You know how they do things, though. They can easily add somebody to the main event of that pay-per-view. I mean, for Christ's sake, they added somebody to the main event of WrestleMania to make it a triple threat. So I could definitely, and that was a couple years ago, obviously, with Charlotte, but so I could see them doing that. But as I was listening to you talk, I kind of thought to myself that I don't want to see the triple threat, because I do finally want to see Roman Reigns and Edge go one-on-one. But to ultimately answer your question, I do think that fans would be happy for Edge, because it's still just his second opportunity since he's been back at that championship. So, I mean, it's not like Drew McIntyre, where he's had countless opportunities. He's actually been gone for a few months now, and he never did get that one-on-one opportunity that we all thought that he deserved after winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, every single one of his promos leading up to the match with Roman and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania was how Daniel Bryan was in the Royal Rumble match. He didn't win it. Daniel Bryan lost in the Royal Rumble that Edge ended up winning, so he didn't feel like Daniel Bryan deserved it. And I somewhat agree that if you win the Royal Rumble, you should get the one-on-one match at WrestleMania. So Edge is finally going to get that a little bit later. So I think that, as far as, just speaking strictly for myself, if I were to be there whenever Edge came out, I would definitely cheer him for sure.
Yeah, dude, I'm such a huge Edge fan. I don't care if he's babyface or heel. I actually don't have a preference. Edge is great at both, and I think that at some point before Edge does truly call it a career on his terms, the way he wants to do it, which is why he's back, that we will see a rated R, well, as much as rated R you can be in a PG era, superstar. Like, we will see the true heel Edge where he gets booed at some point in the next, presumably 1 to 2 years, I would assume at the most, until he calls it really a career. So I hope we really do see, after the fans get a chance to embrace him and cheer for him, that we get to see that nasty, real Edge that's behind all of this, behind the Adam Copeland version of Edge, which is great. I love Edge as a babyface too, but I have to say, I really hope that they bring back, and again, maybe not even 2021, but they do it before he's gone for good. The second thing, I feel bad a little bit for Edge, because he is really kind of a victim of timing and circumstance for returning at a time when there's just still no fans. And rather than, as you said, him returning in Houston, but I think it's all because they have a bigger opponent that we all presumably know who that is. John Cena returning to face Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. So I do feel for Edge that I'm sure he was thinking, and maybe even was vocalizing to management, that, hey, can you guys just wait until we're back in front of fans? But you can't, because of the timing of the pay-per-view with what would then be the SummerSlam, the road to SummerSlam. So I feel for Edge going, man, you can't just put me in front of fans. We've made it this long. I wish I could come back in front of real fans. We've only got 3 weeks, and they're doing this to me now. So I'm sure there was a little bit of that with Edge.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's just somebody who, I mean, I feel like they have to go heel with him at least one more time. I mean, you said it best yourself. He's so good at it. So I feel like before it's all said and done, it just makes too much sense. We need to see a heel version of Edge. Get him with somebody who's, a good babyface. I would love to see maybe an Edge versus McIntyre type of thing. If McIntyre's still a babyface, maybe if he goes on to eventually capture the championship with fans in the crowd, which we all expect will happen at some point. I feel like he'd be a good babyface for Edge to work with if he does go to that heel role. But that's definitely fantasy booking right there, because that's projecting multiple different things to happen.
Exactly, it is. And I do think that, as you said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, with that whole thing with Rollins and Edge and having Edge turn heel. It's just a matter of time, because we all remember, at least most of us do, of how good Edge was just as that nasty SOB that was the ultimate opportunist, that wasn't just Adam Copeland here to tell a great story, a feel-good comeback story, and cheer for me. And it's fine. It's still good because he's so authentic, and I feel like he's truly himself, which is great. But beyond, once we get past that, I'm looking forward to the heel Edge for sure. So, all right. Well, again, welcome to the show. And I want to also give you a second to let everyone know that, hey, you have another podcast out there. Let everyone know what that is, where they can find it.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. It's actually Football Function. I like to plug it before all my SmackDown reviews. But yeah, Football Function is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify right now. Probably going to be available at other places here pretty soon. But I mean, it's just your typical football show. I mean, it's going to be a lot better here in the regular season. We're going to be doing review shows, preview shows, having a lot of fun segments. But right now during the summer, we're still dropping 2 episodes every week. They feature, position breakdowns, a lot of different stuff. I mean, I know that there's probably not a lot of football fans here watching wrestling. You never know. I mean, I know that they are kind of two worlds that do collide a little bit. I know for sure back in the day they did back in, I mean, me personally, I always had to, during football season, it was always tough which one I watched, Monday Night Football or Monday Night Raw. And I was back then when there wasn't DVR, you really did have to make that choice. But anyways, without getting too much more off topic, yeah, Football Function, if you guys want to go check it out, give me a follow, or just subscribe, give me a nice little rating there if you feel like I deserve it. But it's a fun show. We're just getting started there. We are going to be around, though, here in the actual football season. That's when it's going to be really fun. So hopefully you guys will go check it out. I'll definitely appreciate it.
Definitely. Check out Football Function. And like you said, with football right around the corner, it's not far away, guys. Football is right around the corner, believe it or not. So it'll be a great place to go and hear some conversations about football that's going to be cooking up very quickly. So go check it out, guys, Football Function. Now, I want to move on to, now that we've kind of covered the Edge thing a little bit, I want to move on to the whole deal with the women's division. And really, Alexa Bliss. And there's really a lot of ways that we can go with this. This past Monday night, we had Alexa Bliss teaming with Nikki Cross. And I don't know. I have my feelings on this. Maybe they're not as positive as yours. I'm not as high on... I'm starting to really kind of sour, actually, a little bit on Alexa Bliss. As great as she... And I love Alexa. I think she's good in the ring. I think she has kind of been spinning her wheels since WrestleMania, and I think that's part of why a lot of fans have kind of turned a little sour on her. Not just because of the hocus pocus and all the magic trick stuff that in Lily, but I think that was kind of the last straw for a lot of fans that were just frustrated with her sitting on a swing every week for 2 months after WrestleMania, and really, 6 to 8 months before that, just being the Fiend's sidekick, not getting any real story of her own. And so a lot of just kind of, okay, great, you're a super powerful, evil woman. Can you do something? And they didn't do anything with her, and I think that really hurt her. And now I think it's kind of coming home to roost about the fans getting really frustrated with her and are all of a sudden getting, are upset with all the hocus pocus when that's exactly what they loved about her just a few months earlier. So maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on Alexa, but I'm okay. I don't hate what she's doing. Hypnosis thing that they're doing, I guess, is the lowest grade of hocus pocus that you can do. So, what did you think about that? What do you think about her and Nikki Cross going all superhero on us?
All right, well, just quickly about Alexa. I feel like what they had with her at the beginning, whenever they first introduced this like play and pain, whatever type of basically, a little bit of a branch from the Fiend character. I mean, we all know that's basically what it was. That's who she was partnered with. But I feel like similar to how they hurt the Fiend in Hell in a Cell, I feel like eventually they had something good with Alexa and they kind of ruined it themselves too, by kind of not timing it out right, doing just things that were absolutely stupid. I feel like that whole black goo stuff that was coming out of people's mouths was just the more and more that they did that, the more I didn't like it. And then just with like with the whole Lily thing, like you mentioned, I feel like that is what really started to turn fans off. And the fact that her very first match back, because I mean, I don't count that Randy Orton match that she had on Monday Night Raw. I don't count that at all. Her very first match back was with Nia Jax. Excuse me. And I really thought that alone was kind of, a strange pairing. I mean, she just came back from injury, and the one person you're going to put her in the ring with is Nia Jax, for Christ's sake. Like, I didn't really understand that, but I don't know. I feel like with fans coming back, there's going to be less and less that they can do with her as far as the whole cinematic stuff. So there's really not a lot. And I mean, before their match on Monday Night Raw, the only acknowledgement between the whole Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss stuff was Corey Graves said longtime frenemies Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross are going to team up to try to earn their spot in the Money in the Bank, or I believe that's what it was for. But so that was it. They didn't reference anything else about that. Just basically made a little quick acknowledgement of it, so you can't say that they didn't say anything, and then they moved on. But Nikki Cross with her little, her superhero thing. I mean, my girlfriend actually just started. She's watched wrestling for a few months at that. And even she was like, are you kidding me? Like, what the hell is this? Because, I mean, she looks at it from like a true casual wrestling fan point of view. Another thing before we, and we'll get to that whenever we get there, but she actually is a huge New Day fan. So that's how you can really know that she's new at watching wrestling. But definitely, she was even kind of making fun of Nikki Cross and this whole superhero thing. I just feel like that's something that's really outdated in this day and age. You really can't do stuff like that. People are just going to laugh at it. I mean, it's similar to your opinions, because I did hear that. I believe it was on the Raw review. When you said the whole superhero thing just really has never been for you. Me either. Even with Roman Reigns' late big brother, whenever he was a superhero in training, although that was pretty funny, I still really wasn't a fan of that. I didn't really believe it, even as a kid. So I'm not really high on her new gimmick, and especially given that they just released her husband, Killian Dane. He's actually no longer with the company. So, I mean, just do the math. Look at the history and the statistics. Anytime that somebody gets released, look at Lana. Rusev got released. Years later, Lana was gone. Was it Zelina Vega? Months later, yep. Aleister Black's gone. I mean, you just name it. Whenever somebody when they get released, eventually their partner is going to be gone too. Ty Dillinger and Peyton Royce. The list goes on if you actually really think about it. So I feel like it's just, I mean, I hate to say it because I feel like Nikki Cross is better than what they've done. They kind of ruined her whenever they pulled her out of Sanity, because that was just something that she was comfortable doing. And she still tried to do her normal stuff, her psycho girl type stuff, even whenever she was outside of Sanity. And I feel like that kind of rubbed fans the wrong way, and it kind of made them sour on her a little bit. So I hate to say it, but I think, she's somebody who should have probably been mentioned in the casual wrestling fans' hypothetical releases.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fun segment. I mean, that you could break a whole episode down to that. And your analysis about bringing or taking somebody from one company, firing them, putting them in another company, it does ring true with couples, as you said, throughout the years. I mean, another one is Dean Ambrose and Renee Young. I mean, even though Renee, of course, was not an in-ring competitor, I mean, that, of course, is another one. It's one will leave eventually when the other one does. But Alexa Bliss, man, I think we were all intrigued when she changed from her coffee-drinking, eye-rolling talk show or a moment of bliss with Nikki Cross last year that I was not a fan of at all, and transformed her into this evil character that was touched by the Fiend. I think all of us were like, man, this is awesome. And I was included in that. I praised it. I thought it was very good. She was all in. She was starting to descend into madness, and I think that she did it very well. And I know that she has admitted that she's having fun with this, and I think that's great. She's having fun with it. She knows clearly, though, and it's been acknowledged by her, that the fans are starting to turn sour on it. It's not lost on her or management that the fans are like, hey, this is getting ridiculous. Where are we going with this? What's the end game? We don't know. I don't know what the end game is. I really don't know. Maybe eventually there's some kind of serum or antidote or kryptonite that we're able to transform Alexa back to the goddess. I don't know. Maybe that's the end game, to eventually get her back, because she can't stay in this evil character, you would think, forever, because eventually it's going to run its course. So maybe that's the end game for her, and I think that eventually she will be Raw Women's Champion. Probably not in the near future, given the circumstances of potentially Becky Lynch coming back and that kind of thing. We can talk about Charlotte and Rhea next. I mean, really, the whole women's division as a whole in WWE right now it's kind of a mess. It's such, out of everything, and look, I love the women and what they've been able to do, but right now it has been an absolute, it's a train wreck right now in general. So we're only talking about one element of it. So I'll kind of wrap it up here, and I'll ask you what your final thoughts are, because I want to move on to the next piece of the women's division. But my whole problem with Nikki Cross is she is she's so high energy, and she's excited about everything, and she's been so excited about everything all the time, and it's kind of, to me, just obnoxious. Like, I don't find that endearing. I don't find it somebody I want to cheer for. She's getting fluke victories, and she's claiming that she should be in the running for the Raw Women's Champion. I'm like, how? Like, what have you done? You got a few fluke victories. You've beaten, top-tier people, but look at the way you've beaten them. She's changed herself into the superhero. Now, again, I don't know if this superhero was her idea or was management's idea. And as I said in my Raw review, maybe she didn't want to get future endeavored and was just like, yeah, I'll just take it and make it the best I can. Sure, that's great. Sounds great, Vince. It sounds great. Whatever you need. Because of the fear of losing your job, people aren't going to speak out against things that are just awful. So that can maybe be part of it. But if she's going to do it, I mean, I again, this is just not your flavor. It's not my flavor. I think it's eye rolling. I'm not a fan. I think that it's childish. I think it's for somebody in their 30s to be doing this, and I'm supposed to be looking up to this person. I mean, it's preposterous. I'm not a fan of this. It's almost like a last-ditch effort gimmick for somebody that they're like, hey, oh, you're this close to being fired. Let's just try something, the last-ditch effort, and we'll make you a superhero. It feels like that with Nikki Cross. It feels like they're on a last possible ditch effort before they just say either this works or you're gone. So I hope that's not the case for her. I like her, but I don't know. So any wrap up thoughts on Alexa and Nikki?
I guess not really on those two women in particular. I guess just really the women's division as a whole. I guess I kind of have a little bit of a dark analogy to kind of try to wrap it up really quick. Is I guess it's the one way I can explain the women's division and their sort of regression is it's almost like as if like somebody who like was on drugs or like had like a drug problem and they finally got clean, and they like were like on the straight and narrow and they were like actually on a good path, and you thought there was no way in hell that they would go back to their old ways. Well, I kind of feel like that is what's going on with the women's division. Like they had a really bad problem with the ruthless aggression era and the attitude era, and they finally were put on a pedestal and they finally were getting the attention, and it looked like things were really going in a different direction for them. And you just thought in your mind, there's no way in hell they're ever going to go back to what they were. It's only going to get better from here. You thought that maybe at some point that gap between the men and the women would really get closed with women like Charlotte and Becky Lynch and at the time Ronda Rousey on the roster. But it almost seems like that whole women's revolution was literally Ronda Rousey as a whole. I mean, I didn't believe it at the time. I thought, whatever, if you leave, it's no big deal. We're going to go on without you. But I mean, it almost seems like she was the glue that was really holding it together. I mean, at least in terms of legitimacy or credibility, because I mean, nobody really takes it serious anymore since she's been gone. And has she been gone since the night of WrestleMania that night when she lost her championship?
Yep.
Dang. See, I didn't realize it was actually over 2 years now. So that's pretty crazy to think about. But I guess just the women's division, I hope that at some point they'll hit another gear, maybe catch a second win where they can start getting boosted up again. But it's hard to feel that way when you look at the roster. They've absolutely decimated it. I mean, Becky Lynch coming back is 100% going to help. She's going to be a shot in the arm that's going to really give it a kick that it really needs. But I mean, we need Sasha Banks back. We need all hands on deck and really, pull out all the stops. We need them to actually – because I watched the China documentary yesterday actually which is a really good one. If any of you fans out there are China fans or just watching the Attitude Era, you're definitely going to want to watch that documentary. It was a hell of a documentary on Vice, but it kind of just takes you back and shows you like where the women's division was at one point and how there were those trailblazers. And just looking at where we are now, I mean, it is kind of tough to watch. I mean, me personally, I still have quite a few. Like, none of my favorite women's wrestlers have been released yet. I mean, I love Natalya when I first started watching back in 2014 when I came back to the WWE. And then Liv Morgan, obviously, she's the one who I really, really like right now. There's some women in NXT as well, which the NXT division is completely its own little thing, you know, like we can crap on the main roster and how their women's division is, but the NXT women's division, I feel like is how you do it, or at least it's done right. And maybe, you know, just a smaller show, a bigger roster, it's obviously going to be easier, but I feel like number one, they got to get all their people back. It's kind of like a football team, you know, if you have your starting wide receiver and your starting quarterback injured, you're not going to do that well, you know. So with Becky Lynch and Sasha just basically out of the picture right now, I feel like they're definitely at a disadvantage, but when they get back, maybe closing out 2021, we might see the women's division get a little bit of a better push, I guess you can say.
Stay right there. The WWE podcast will return after this quick break.
So I don't know about you guys, but when I get up in the morning, if I don't have my coffee, I'm an absolute monster. It's one of those things that is an absolute essential part of my morning. And I don't just drink any coffee. To me, the quality of the product, the quality of that coffee makes all the difference in my morning. That's why I use grind and brew coffee. Quality for them has been something that they are extremely careful about. They are very select in their manufacturers, their suppliers, to ensure that all of their customers are satisfied with the absolute highest quality products, and their coffee gets me going in the morning. They also have accessories on their website there's hats, there's face masks, there's laptop sleeves and sweatshirts. So they sell awesome gear on top of it, and their logo's just flat out great. So go check out grindbrewcoffee.com. That's grindbrewcoffee, all one word, .com, and you get a special discount because you're a listener of the show, by the way. If you type in WWE 15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off of your order. So check out grindbrewcoffee.com and put in the promo code WWE 15 for 15% off of your order. Guys, if you're as much of a coffee snob and really just need it in the morning like I do, go check them out, guys. It's grindbrewcoffee.com.
Welcome back to the WWE podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
I think the women's division is, I mean, right now it's at its lowest point it's been since, I would argue, since the whole women's revolution began, the whole Divas, Give Divas a Chance thing started. I really believe that right now it is at its lowest point. And it's not just in the way that how little on-air time sometimes the women are getting in each show, but it's rather how they're used. And I mean, look at Shayna Baszler, for example. I mean, we just touched on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. We didn't really talk about the match, but I think what the negatives about that match was, number one, it wasn't that great, but number two, Shayna Baszler, who is just criminally being underutilized and sacrificed for the Alexa Bliss character. I think it's such a big mistake for Shayna Baszler to be involved in any of this. She should just get as far away as possible. I've said this over and over. Get back to basics with her. Just make her a solo act. You don't have to have a feud with Nia Jax. Just break them up. No feud necessary, and have her just start snapping arms again. That's all you need to do with her, and it works. And she's so believable. She's got a credentialed MMA background. It doesn't make any sense what they're doing with her, with Alexa Bliss, and she's taking pinfalls now every time she's in a tag team. It's ridiculous. But as far as the women's division as a whole, yes, I mean, on the horizon we've got Becky Lynch, we've got Sasha Banks coming back. We potentially, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen in 2021, but rumors of Ronda Rousey floating out there. I don't think that'd happen until 2022. I mean, I believe she's pregnant right now.
Yeah, she is.
So, yeah, no, it's going to be a long time before we see, I think, Ronda Rousey back, if ever, I mean, on a full-time basis. But Ronda Rousey, like you said, she was kind of the crescendo, the top of the mountain, the pinnacle of the Raw and SmackDown women's divisions vision. And then ever since that triple threat with Becky and Charlotte, it's kind of been like a slow decline into back to what it was a little bit into the Ruthless Aggression era. And if people don't think I'm overstating this, what have they done with the Carmella character, right? They've sexualized her into just this woman that's all about how beautiful she is and her body and her curves and her makeup and whatever. You have that. You have Lashley with Lashley's ladies, essentially just kind of upgraded 2021 prostitutes who are walking around with him on a weekly basis. You have Liv Morgan, who actually this week did get some on-air mic time. I can't remember the last time I heard Liv Morgan on a microphone, which is great to hear. But now we had her have to qualify, even though we had who was it?
Carmella.
Yeah, Carmella. It made no sense to me because initially, who was out there? Who was the SmackDown GM that was out? It wasn't Adam Pearce.
It was Sonya Deville.
Sonya Deville, who said, "I'm going to announce the women who are in the Money in the Bank ladder match." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, the men have to qualify with matches, but the women just get announced. And I'm thinking that doesn't make sense. But then it does make sense because they can't do qualifying matches since there are not enough women to do qualifying matches for. They just have to kind of pick everyone that's not in a championship program and stick them in. Like, that's essentially what this was. And I get that. But it made no sense that Sonya Deville announced Carmella as qualifying for the match and then announced Liv Morgan as qualified for the match and then said, well, wait, if you want to prove yourself, you have to face Carmella. Well, wait a minute. You just told me I qualified. Why do I have to face Carmella? That was a little bit of a disconnect for me. But, hey, at least Liv Morgan's getting mic time. There is that.
Yeah, for sure. And Liv is somebody who I hope, because the segment you and the casual wrestling fan had a couple weeks ago, that was a very fun segment up until you guys got to Liv Morgan. That's when I was like, all right, that's about enough there. But I'm just kidding. But anyways, I do love Liv. So I hope that she can be somebody that, gets a little bit of momentum behind her. I mean, seeing her beat Carmella and earn, so to speak, her spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match, it does have a little bit of confidence for me. I don't think she's going to win. I don't think she's ready for that yet. I think that she's someone who needs to kind of, she hasn't even really done what Carmella's done, kind of fluke her way into one of those championship title reigns and however long it ended up being whenever she had James Ellsworth. I'm not even sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure it ended up being pretty long, but I don't think Liv Morgan's even there yet. I feel like she still has a little bit of work to do inside the ring and just on the mic. I am a little bit worried just whenever it comes to the fact that she's been in the company for a few years now already. I mean, she was in NXT probably for like 5 or 6 years, but the fact that she's been on the main roster for this long and she really still has nothing like that she can actually hang her hat on. I mean, other than the Riot Squad, which is a failed group, there's really nothing you can think back. All right, what has Liv Morgan done in the WWE? There's really nothing. I mean, the first thing literally that comes to my mind is the Lana and Bobby Lashley segment. That was the very first thing that came to my mind. And that's sad. I want to see Liv Morgan have a little bit more of mic time like she got this week, and then put her in a situation where she's at a disadvantage, or at least, getting the short end of the stick, where Carmella is just handed a spot in the ladder match and she has to earn it. So the fact that she does that and overcomes whatever odds that are in front of her, I do like to see that with Liv. But I mean, it really is tough to get excited for this Money in the Bank women's match. Last year, how it happened with the briefcase didn't even have like 24 hours of existence. As soon as Asuka won it, the very next night it was gone because she ended up winning the championship. And I feel like they don't really take advantage of that enough. The calendar year that you have to cash that in, at least in a couple of years they haven't. I feel like you can really just have whoever wins that kind of just make that a part of the show. I feel like here lately, at least the last couple of years, they've kind of gotten the Money in the Bank cashed in pretty quickly. I mean, I could be wrong, but at least that's how I'm remembering it. Do you remember it differently?
No, they immediately dissolved the Money in the Bank briefcase for the women the night after, as we all know, with Becky Lynch awarding Asuka the Raw Women's Championship because she announced she was pregnant.
And The Miz,
yeah. And The Miz, they strung that out with Otis, and that was just a disaster that waiting to happen. And Miz being champion was just the worst week ever because, so Otis, I think, was a bad choice from day one. I never thought that was a great idea with Otis, and now he's turned heel at the Alpha Academy, and I think he's doing some of the better work with shaving his beard. It was kind of weird at first, and now I'm like, Yeah, he kind of looks like a D-bag now. I mean, like, he looks like a guy that I wouldn't want to be friends with. And I'm nothing against, the way he looks, but the way that he's kind of presenting himself. Like, I think that he has become a little bit less likable in his presentation. That's good. He's at least taking up space in my mind. That's what I want. So my point is, though, with the Money in the Bank, yeah, I mean, they always love to present you statistics of over 80% of the time. And what's weird is Michael Cole this past week said over 80% of the time it's guaranteed you'll win. I'm like, well, you can't have a guarantee and only 80%, Michael. I mean, like, so it's either 80% or it's guaranteed, which is 100%. So you can't use guarantee in an 80% scenario. So I thought that was kind of a funny thing that he said. But I get it. Like, they like to make sure that when they have the briefcase that they can tout that high statistic, so it gets you interested in who wins the match, and I understand that. But yeah, last year I hope we never see again a corporate ladder that that they're trying to portray as some kind of fun cartoon match that they did last year. Again, that was probably the worst thing I've seen in wrestling in 25 years ever. I mean, I know that some people are like, "What are you talking?" I thought it was the worst thing I've ever seen, the most egregiously eye-rolling, just desecration of pro wrestling ever last year at Money in the Bank. But it is not that this year, and I think that in front of fans it's going to be a lot more fun, and I hope they do string it out. Whoever the winners are, they don't just cash it in that night. The thing is, with this match, I think we've kind of seen almost every scenario play out, though. Like, we've had it. Although has it gone a full year with somebody? I don't know if that's ever been the case. But they've done the main event of WrestleMania. They've cashed in after main events of pay-per-views before. They've cashed in Monday Night Raws after WrestleMania with Dolph Ziggler. We've done. I mean, there's not a lot left to cover, I think, with the Money in the Bank briefcase. No.
No, I really don't think there is either. I just think it's been a while, I guess, is what I was saying, that we've actually seen somebody who is credible have it for an actual long time, who you think, man, if they cash it in, they're going to win because they're actually a threat. Like, here recently, I feel like the people who have held it really haven't been that legitimate, at least in my opinion. Like, whenever Otis won it, at that point, I was kind of still invested in the him and Mandy storyline, because it really wasn't that old yet, and it hadn't gotten to the point where it was annoying yet. So I didn't care too much about, him winning it at the time. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, man, well, what are they going to do now? It was one of those things like, all right, they made the decision. He got his Mandy, I did it moment on TV. But I mean, I really didn't understand exactly what their thought process was. I don't think they had one, because they dropped it from him. And I can't remember the last time somebody didn't at least get a shot to cash it in. Usually if somebody wins the Money in the Bank briefcase, they at least cash in, whether it's successful or not. At least they get an opportunity. I feel like Otis, he might be one of the only ones who never really got a chance. But before we move on from Otis, I did have a quick question for you just about his new look. Do you remember Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch back the –
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he kind of look like Trevor Murdoch just from the little bit of camera time that he's gotten?
Yeah.
The one that – because I mentioned that a couple weeks ago whenever I first saw him. That was one of the first guys that kind of popped in my mind whenever I saw him. And that was a tag team, because one of them actually is from Waxahachie, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas. So it's not too far, and my mom actually lived there during the time that they were in the WWE. So hearing that on TV every single time that he came out, I thought that was kind of cool. So I always remembered that tag team. And just immediately, as soon as I saw Otis, that was one of the people that I thought he looked like. Well, I just wanted to ask if you remembered that guy.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch. I mean, they were like the old the down and dirty Texans that were part of the tag team division, I believe, in early 2000s. So, certainly I remember them. And, I think what will add something to this Money in the Bank, like whoever wins it, can we not have them bring it out every week, like carry it with them all the time? And the reason I say that is because then you're reminded of who's, that they constantly have it, and you're always on the lookout, and it'll never be a surprise. I don't need whoever has it to constantly carry it around as a reminder, because if you're trying to spring a surprise on somebody, maybe you have them bring it out the first night, and then after that, you don't see it with them for a while. And it kind of fades from your mind. Time will erode that, and you're like, oh, that's right. They won the Money in the Bank. I think, in 4 or 5 months, you're going to be thinking that, like, wait, it's not being shoved in my face every week that they're carrying a briefcase that says Money in the Bank. I think that would do whoever wins this some good. I don't think they'll do it because they love to, for whatever reason, that person has to carry it around all the time, everywhere, with everything they do. I think that at the same time, it's kind of eroding any kind of surprise, and it reminds you who won it. And I would like them to kind of reward fans who think, hey, maybe that's not a good thing to do, when, to carry it around all the time and only carry it out maybe when they're going to actually cash it in and go, oh my God, that's right, they're the Money in the Bank briefcase winner. So I don't know. Do you think they should do that, or do you not care?
No, I think there is some value into what you're saying. Kind of just keep it hidden in the back of fans' mind, and they could just be straight up about it. Just, I don't have it with me right now because I know I'm not cashing it in today. Like, I'm not even going to build the suspense at all. And then just maybe still kind of like, say somebody like who had MVP, somebody MVP could constantly just say, he could cash in tonight, he can cash in next week, whenever, always have it be brought up, but you don't always have to see it. It could be one of those things like he just knows. And if he does have it in his hand, that kind of makes you wonder if he brings it out on a random time, like, wait, is he going to cash it in tonight? But because we haven't seen it in like a month and now he has it in his hand. So I feel like there is some value to that, but you're right. I don't think they will. WWE likes to throw things in your face and just, shove it down your throat. So I feel like something like the Money in the Bank briefcase, we're going to see that on a weekly basis for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of wishful thinking of mine, and it's a small thing, but to me, I don't need every time every winner to do the same thing as every other previous winner, and they tend to just do that. But
it's like the infamous point at the WrestleMania sign. They have to do it.
It starts at the Rumble and it doesn't stop until after WrestleMania, and now we got WrestleMania
it was bad.
Backlash. It's to the point now that it's. I like yell at my TV or my phone. I mean, I don't really watch it on TV. I my phone, but I'm just like, this is just the worst. It's the most exposure. It's such an exposure of the business when that happens, because they're all just robots doing what they're told to do by management. Like, I don't know. I know it's a small thing, but it's become so frequent and egregious from January till early April that it's too much for me. So, all right. Well, I want to move on though, and we maybe we can touch on a little bit more on the women later again. But with we had what was it, the main event of Monday Night Raw? Lashley and Xavier Woods, who got brutalized. Xavier Woods, that is, in front of Kofi Kingston with a surprise Hell in a Cell match. This was non-title. I actually thought at first it was title. It's not. Makes sense. But he was brutalized in front of Kofi as Kofi couldn't do anything after I thought was really a great performance by Xavier Woods, and has shown that he can be on his own without just perennially all the time being in a tag team. I think all of us are ready for the New Day, except for your was it your wife or your girlfriend that just has recently got into wrestling and finds the New Day entertaining. Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what it is. I mean, she likes them. She feels like they're entertaining. She feels like they're funny. And I guess somebody who hasn't just seen it, obviously, for the past every single week for the past 5 or 6 years, and we're like, no, we've been watching this exact same thing since 2015. Like, we're kind of over it. So she's new, so she still sees it. And me personally, the only thing I really like about the New Day right now is their gear. Because growing up in the 90s, I was a huge Power Rangers fan. As soon as they came out, I knew exactly what that gear was. And my personal opinion, they did pick the two best Power Rangers with the white one and the green one. But so I like that. And then I also like their Mortal Kombat gear that they had leading up to, I think it might have been WrestleMania Backlash. That might have been the time that they had them. But yeah, so I like their gear. But other than that, yeah, the New Day, I mean, Big E was the one thing about that group that kind of had me invested, only because I was waiting for him to leave. Now that he's finally, quote unquote, left, I think that the group itself is just kind of, it's treading water until it's eventually just going to sink. I mean, I don't really know exactly who's still buying New Day shirts, like, because I know that that's usually the argument to keeping them together as well. They're a cash cow. But me personally, I'm just like, man, who in their right mind is still buying like unicorn horns? Yeah, like who is still buying that stuff? So I'm just kind of like, I feel like the ship has sailed. It's about time to move on. But just as far as, that segment itself on Monday Night Raw, I love what MVP is doing, how he's just not stumbling over any words. He's just tearing them apart, and he's telling the truth. He's making valid points with every single word that he's saying. And then I've agreed in the past that they don't feel like hills. They just deliver on every single thing that they say. Bobby Lashley really doesn't feel like a hill, but I do like whenever they remind you that he is a hill, like kind of similar to what happened at the end of that Hell in a Cell match where Kofi Kingston was on the outside of the cell and he just had Xavier Woods in that hurt lock, and he had it in tight too. Like Xavier Woods, I felt like, I mean, because you can kind of see just like right underneath his armpits where his shoulder blades kind of were. They were just, it was bad. I mean, I really haven't seen a hurt lock that bad, probably since like Chris Masters used to do it. But I felt like, I mean, he reminded us how brutal he is and how he could really put a hurting on somebody. And I feel like that's what they needed after, the night before, whenever he won with the roll up. They kind of had to remind us, like, no, this guy's still pretty dominant. And if he wants to flip that switch, he definitely can. I mean, I don't really mind MVP getting involved because he doesn't do it very often. He's just going to do what he has to do to make sure that Bobby Lashley doesn't lose. But for the most part, he stands back and he lets Bobby Lashley do his thing. But as far as the New Day goes, I mean, you're preaching to the choir whenever you're talking about them guys just overstaying their welcome. I feel like Xavier, I mean, he did hint. I feel like that's kind of gone under the radar. Nobody's really mentioned it, that he mentioned the King of the Ring tournament. He said he's getting prepared to that before he kind of went in on MVP and Bobby Lashley about their whole toxic masculinity stuff. He actually, mentioned the King of the Ring tournament. And I was like, wait, I mean, is nobody going to address that? Like he kind of just, quickly just brushed over it. And I feel like that's kind of something that we should talk about. But I mean, I don't know. I just Kofi Mania, whatever it is. I mean, if he thinks that he's going to recreate that, if WWE thinks they're going to recreate that, I think they're sadly mistaken. I don't think that either one of these guys are believable opponents, and I don't think anybody else believes that either. I mean, they know that they're just a stepping stone to get Bobby Lashley to whoever he is going to go against next. Hopefully it's Brock Lesnar, but who knows at this point. But yeah, I mean, New Day, they just need to get the hell out of here as far as I'm concerned, because I don't care to see either one of them on my TV. But if I had to pick, I'm not over Xavier Woods. I feel like he hasn't really gotten that chance to have a singles run. Kofi's had his chance. He's been champion here in recent memory. Big E is somewhat getting his chance over on SmackDown. So I feel like, I mean, it's only fair to give Xavier his opportunity. He's not going to be a main event guy, but he at least has a chance to be, I mean, Ricochet, somebody on the roster in terms of like that spot on the roster. He can kind of be in the mid card, but I don't even know if that's something that he wants to do. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, this is Xavier's time to show what he can do, and I think that was his time in the main event to show management, to show the fans what he can do. Given the fact that, I mean, when was the last time, if ever, Xavier Woods was in a one-on-one match for the main event of Monday Night Raw? Never. I don't think ever. So I don't discredit Xavier Woods at all. I think he did an excellent job against Bobby Lashley, as good as could be expected. Now, you talked about how, Lashley reminds us why he's a heel. At the same time, we have to remember that Xavier is the one that came out and interrupted him and picked the fight. I mean, we didn't have Lashley going backstage trying to pick on the little guys in the locker room and all that. He's the one that stepped up to Lashley. So there is that. So Lashley kind of gave him what he deserved. So to me, again, I really don't look at Lashley as a heel. He has got every babyface tendency, other than the fact that he's got these, unspoken prostitutes every week that come out with him as the 2021 version of the Ho Train. And I don't see the heel part of this. Like you said, MVP was spitting truth all over the place. And it was hilarious because MVP talked about how Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are just these video game playing, clowns. And then we have Xavier Woods, who just basically confirmed exactly what MVP said and goes, yeah, well, I have 2 million YouTube subscribers. I was the host of G4. I'm like, dude, that's exactly what he just said you are. That's not a comeback. That's confirming what MVP just told you is the problem. That's not an accolade. So it was hilarious, and I don't think he thought about it that way, but it was. You don't talk about how many YouTube subscribers you are, or that you you are the host of a video game conference or whatever. Like, that's exactly the opposite, and I don't think he even saw the irony in that. But I really thought that, it was nice to see Kofi serious. Anytime they're serious, it's fun. At least it's a little more entertaining than they're just overplayed, expired, totally dead gimmick to me of their New Day charades. And it's going to be Kofi versus Bobby at Money in the Bank. There's no question about that. And we know the outcome of that. So it's really, just as you said, a stepping stone to get to SummerSlam, which is probably going to be Brock Lesnar. I don't see any other way. And the venue is in Vegas. I mean, it's a huge venue. It's essentially WrestleMania-esque. So I could see it. I think it's actually likely that Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley go face-to-face at SummerSlam, and likely that John Cena and Roman Reigns also headline SummerSlam.
Stay right there. The WWE podcast will return after this quick break.
So I don't know about you guys, but when I get up in the morning, if I don't have my coffee, I'm an absolute monster. It's one of those things that is an absolute essential part of my morning. And I don't just drink any coffee. To me, the quality of the product, the quality of that coffee makes all the difference in my morning. That's why I use grind and brew coffee. Quality for them has been something that they are extremely careful about. They are very select in their manufacturers, their suppliers, to ensure that all of their customers are satisfied with the absolute highest quality products. And their coffee gets me going in the morning. They also have accessories on their website there's hats, there's face masks, there's laptop sleeves and sweatshirts. So they sell awesome gear on top of it, and their logo's just flat out great. So go check out grindbrewcoffee.com. That's grindbrewcoffee, all one word, .com. And you get a special discount because you're a listener of the show, by the way. If you type in WWE 15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off of your order. So check out grindbrewcoffee.com and put in the promo code WWE 15 for 15% off of your order. Guys, if you're as much of a coffee snob and really just need it in the morning like I do, go check them out, guys. It's grindbrewcoffee.com.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
I hope so. That would be awesome. I would absolutely love to see that. And I was going to say something about Xavier really quick, but I think it might have slipped my mind. I actually think it did. But if I can remember, I'll definitely I'll bring it back up.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I like what Xavier's done. Like, I have no problem with him being a single star. It's clear that it's going to probably be a breakup, or some people have said they're going to join the Hurt Business. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't mind it. I would love to see Xavier and Kofi go heel. Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? What do they say? You know?
And go ahead. Yeah, it actually just came back to me, but I agree. I don't think that would make sense. It'd kind of be like that whole Jimmy Uso thing on SmackDown. Like, Roman, he basically just like cowered down to agree to just join if you can't beat him, join him, pretty much is what New Day would be doing if they decided to join the Hurt Business. But really quickly about Xavier, because I did hear you mention whenever he brought up the 11-time tag team championship reigns as a part of his argument, and you said, well, that's a group thing. Well, not only is it a group statistic, they carried those championships under the Freebird rule, which means how many of those championship reigns did Xavier Woods actually have a part in?
Right.
And I mean, it's not necessarily a knock against him, but I mean, from what I can remember, as far as the wrestling goes, I mean, he was out there playing a trombone 90% of the time, and Big E and Kofi Kingston were the ones, especially in the championship matches, who were actually winning it. And I'm not trying to discredit Xavier and his role in the New Day, because I do feel like he did have a part in the 11 championship reigns, but I just feel like if you're going to bring that up, it's not really. I mean, when you're carrying it with three people and you don't necessarily have to even defend it every single time, you know. So I feel like that's kind of something that should definitely be brought up with Xavier.
It should, and I hope MVP does eventually say something. And yeah, it's. I think this is a one and done with Xavier, at least with Bobby Lashley. I don't see this ever being a thing moving forward. I'm sure he'll try to exact his revenge as Kofi and Lashley battle it out over the next few weeks to build to Money in the Bank. But after this, I want to know what happens, because do they split up the New Day? Do they finally do that? I mean, I think that would be the best thing, not just for those two. And they don't have to fight with one another. I mean, I'm not asking for an Xavier versus Kofi matchup. I'm just asking for them to kind of just naturally go their own way. I think it would also be really good for Big E by proxy over on SmackDown, who needs to get the hell away from the colors of the New Day, get the hell away from the clapping of the New Day. Anything and everything that has to do with the New Day, he needs to phase out. And they showed signs of it over the fall. And they showed signs of him being serious in his promo with who was it? It
was Apollo.
Apollo. He had a very serious, awesome promo against Apollo before their match at WrestleMania, and now he's back to being Big E, who's just kind of the offshoot of the New Day, an extension of the New Day on SmackDown. However, this week he said, if you caught it off camera or on camera on the camera mic, he said this is like a new beginning. This is the new start. You know, we're we're straightening things out. It was something along those lines he was yelling after his victory this past week. So
I was actually about to ask if you were referring to after the match, because I did notice that I said from this day forth, we're not messing around anymore, yada yada or yada yada yada. But I did actually notice that Apollo during that match, the qualifying match this past Friday on SmackDown, I noticed that he was actually doing like New Day taunts, which isn't anything new. People do that all the time. I mean, they've done it for the past however many years, but he was doing like the clapping as New Day was or as Big E was trying to get up. So he was doing like the New Day clap, and he was kind of moving his hips around, just, taunting him like that. And I was just thinking, I mean, that feels like he's still a member of the New Day whenever his opponents are taunting him like that, still doing that type of stuff. And you would think that would make Big E want to really distance himself from that. But just as far as, the group itself, whether WWE wants to do it or not, I don't feel like they make it out of 2021. I really don't. I feel like at some point I feel like it's actually starting to get sped up a little bit. I mean, they're getting absolutely roasted by MVP on the mic on a weekly basis now. So they might want to get away from this little program unless they really want to get exposed on a weekly basis. And it's all factual. That's the hilarious thing about it is not only are they getting just completely ripped apart, but it all makes sense. And it's almost, secondhand embarrassing for them because you're like, man, I mean, he's saying what we're all thinking right now.
No, it's true. That's the thing, like that, and that's my continuation of the point of how are they a heel? They're not lying to us. Yes, heels can spit truth that is hard to hear, and people hate to hear the truth when it's tough. But this is not one of those cases. He's not trashing the fans about something that is true about us. That we are angry that he said what he said, but it's true, so we're angry even more. No, this is about Xavier Woods, another wrestling character that is 100% true. That they're too busy back there spitting pancakes, throwing whatever food of choice at their opponents in that week, and not caring, being serious. And Kofi continues to say, "Well, I surround myself with family and friends." Well, that's wonderful, but not here. Like, what are you doing here? Why are you surrounding yourself with people that apparently you say you trust, and that's great, but that are clearly holding you back from being a single star and moving to that next level? And why do you have to be reminded that you lost the WWE Championship 2 years ago, and all of a sudden you kind of looked up and were like, oh, that's right, I forgot. I mean, like, what? That is, to me, like, the fact that you can't even remember or even care to bring up that you lost the championship and that's now your claim to fame. Well, I never lost it, so I get an opportunity. Well, yeah, dude, that was like 2 years ago. I mean, so that, if you forgot about it then, apparently it's not important to you, enough importance to you to bring it up, maybe the next week. Instead, he just kind of went about his day after Brock Lesnar beat him in 7 seconds or whatever it was. And I think that's one of the most egregious things to me for Kofi Kingston. But any final thoughts before we continue on here?
No, I think I went ahead and I feel like I got my thoughts out on the New Day. So, yeah, I'm ready to wrap them up for sure.
All right. Well, let's see here. We could move on to let's move on to Drew McIntyre, because Drew McIntyre faced Riddle this past week, and I think it was a really good match. I mean, I really enjoyed these two together, and the match quality that Drew McIntyre's had really since the Royal Rumble when he eliminated Brock Lesnar before COVID and our whole world got thrown upside down. I think he has been, match quality-wise, really good. Just very consistent from that time forward, and he will forever be remembered as the guy that steered the ship through the pandemic era, or as they like to call it, the Thunderdome era. I think that he was the guy that, is unfortunately that guy, and I'm sure that he would say that he's got the worst luck in the world with the timing of things and fans leaving, and he's not able to celebrate in front of fans. But that all said, this match was really good with Riddle. I think we can all say that we are glad that Riddle at least kicked out the chance of Drew McIntyre being a part of the Money in the Bank, until, of course, we heard that it's going to be a second chance opportunity this coming week, with the losers of those matches getting a second opportunity to be a part of the Money in the Bank, assuming Drew is not in that match. And I hope for his sake he's not, because the fans, I think, will destroy him in that match if he's a part of the Money in the Bank briefcase match, because nobody wants to see, I don't think at this time, Drew in the title picture, in the conversation, anywhere near it. Put him in a personal blood feud. Get him in something that's beyond his obsession with the championship. I think that will do him well. So, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed this. It also gave Riddle that next bump into, hey, I'm in the Money in the Bank ladder match now. Randy Orton is not, and Randy Orton lost his match because of a distraction by Riddle this past week. So give your thoughts on this kind of whole wrap up here with McIntyre, Riddle, and Orton.
Well, I will say, so they haven't announced who's going to be in that triple, because I did hear on Raw that there's going to be a triple threat second chance opportunity for people who lost. So they didn't announce who's going to be in that match yet.
I thought it was so. I thought it was just the losers, all the losers of the past week. But if they had more than, they had more than three, right? They had more than three qualifier matches.
Oh, yeah,
so yeah, okay. So okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. On Raw, they actually had 5 of those qualifying matches. So whenever they said 3, I wasn't sure if they listed them. I know for sure AJ Styles is going to be in it. He lost to Ricochet. Randy Orton is going to be in that one as well. So it would make sense, I guess, for Drew to be involved. But one thing I will say, I guess, just playing devil's advocate for having Drew McIntyre in the Money in the Bank, not having him win it, but just having him in the match, just strictly to get him in that grudge match, that blood feud that you're referring to, kind of similar to what they did with Roman Reigns, coincidentally, at Money in the Bank a few years ago. They had him in perfect position to win it, and he was reaching up to grab the briefcase, and the lights turned out. They turned back on. Bray Wyatt's there at the very bottom, pushes him off the ladder. He doesn't win, and that sets him up with a feud going on with Bray Wyatt. So I feel like if you have him in there, that could be a gateway to get him in that. Have somebody, I don't know who it is, they could start something brand new, have somebody from NXT come up, since the draft's happening sometime soon anyway. It could be anybody. I know it has to make sense, of course, but I mean, it could be somebody that cheats Drew out or screws him over and stops him from winning that Money in the Bank briefcase, and that's how he gets in the grudge match. But with where he is right now, I mean, I agree. He's definitely the poster child for that pandemic era, the Thunderdome era, however you want to look at it. He is the face of that. Completely agree. His match, his in-ring work is literally as good as it gets for somebody that's as popular as him, who's being, looked at as the top guy, the top babyface in the company. For him to deliver night in, night out, and put on that level, that level of work, this consistent. I mean, I feel like that can't go overlooked. So I agree, and I'm glad you brought that up. But with Riddle, I feel like he's just scratching the surface here. He's finally starting to kind of get over to some of the fans that, didn't want to look past kind of his personality, because I do feel like that's really how he is to an extent. It's definitely turned up a little bit. Like, he's not a complete doofus in real life, I don't think, but I do think that for the most part, I mean, he definitely does smoke marijuana, so he definitely does have that mentality and that kind of trait to his personality that he likes to show on WWE. So I feel like just as far as in the ring, people are starting to find, or his character, people are starting to kind of, look past that, and they're actually focusing on, man, when this guy is in the ring and it's in a vacuum and you're just looking at him work, man, he can really go. And I feel like he rises to his competition. And we saw that this Monday night with Drew McIntyre. And I'm glad that he earned the his spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I like what they're doing with Randy Orton, kind of saying, hey, I mean, Riddle kind of pitched the idea like, dude, if you win that triple threat match and you end up in the Money in the Bank ladder match with me, then we get to both be fighting for an opportunity at the WWE Championship, which I do think that they're being very specific. In years past, they've mentioned whatever championship you choose, you can go from wherever, you can cash it in. Now they're being very specific. On SmackDown, they referenced that if you win, you can go for the Universal Championship. And on Raw, they were very specific when they said the WWE Championship. And I'll see if they continue to do that going forward. But that's something that I definitely noticed. And Randy Orton kind of said, whenever Riddle said we could both be fighting for that, he said, or Riddle said, wouldn't that be cool? And Orton just said, not for you. So they're kind of still they're keeping in the back of your mind like something's going to happen here. I mean, we all know something's going to happen, but I mean, I love this RK Bro stuff. I feel like it's exciting. It's one of the good bright spots of Monday Night Raw, which we all know is in desperate need of some bright spots. But I hate to say it, but The Miz, being injured, I don't want to just transition over to The Miz, but I do like that we're seeing less and less of him. I do feel like that does help Monday Night Raw, as crazy as that sounds. Just him, you don't ever want to see somebody get injured, but I mean, him being on the TV less with John Morrison also qualifying for the match, you're going to see more of him. And obviously he did interfere, squirting Randy Orton in the face with that drip stick, whatever the hell they called it. But so I don't know. I mean, just as far as Drew McIntyre goes, in this whole picture, I definitely think he's probably, there's 8 spots. I feel like it's going to be, I can think of 8 guys to put in that Money in the Bank ladder match and not include Drew, but I don't know if WWE is going to actually give some of those guys an opportunity, So I feel like definitely not going to win. He'll probably get booed by a big majority of the fans if he does end up in that ladder match. But I do think there are some avenues you can take once he gets in it to actually get him involved in something else that doesn't involve either of the top championships.
There is a way, and absolutely I could see it happening. My fear, though, is, like we all kind of said, is that the fans are going to boo anytime McIntyre gets on the ladder, I believe. There'll be, probably not 100% zero, but it'd probably be 60-40, the fans booing Drew McIntyre climbing the ladder because of it's just exhaustion. It's exhaustion of McIntyre being in the title picture for so long, and it's not his fault, right? Monday Night Raw is and has been and still is in desperate need of a top babyface beyond Drew, and really there isn't one. It's Drew and then everyone else. So it's not really
crazy.
his fault. Yeah,
it's not to cut you off. It's just crazy that you just said that and talking about a roster that has AJ Styles on it. That's just crazy to me.
It is, and we'll get to AJ Styles actually next. I want to kind of close out McIntyre here by saying they could put him in the Money in the Bank briefcase matchup, and yes, he'd get booed, and someone could screw him. I don't think anybody believes McIntyre would win if he somehow got in that match, which I don't think he'll even get in that match. But if he did, and he's climbing the ladder, and we could have someone screw him, which sets up a blood feud, I think the problem with that would be, though, that if you're trying to keep McIntyre babyface, the heel, whoever he is, that screws over McIntyre from grabbing the briefcase would immediately be cheered. I mean, because people don't want to see McIntyre at all with the briefcase. So the reaction for that person, even though they're being billed as a heel, they would get probably massively cheered. And, they'd get the thank you chants or something from the fans.
That's a good point.
So
that's a good point.
That's the problem that I see. I get it. And that's a way to get into a program that's not about the WWE Championship. But I think that the reaction from fans would be like, hey, thank you, God, that he didn't get it. Whoever you are, thank you. And that's not what you're trying to do with a heel. So, before we transition to AJ Styles, I want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any other thoughts on McIntyre or where he's going potentially?
Just hopefully over to SmackDown. I mean, I love Drew, so I hope that, I hope that we can get him over there. Let him just get a breath of fresh air. I mean, I don't know. He might be taking a break. I don't think he's the type of guy that likes to take breaks. I feel like where he is in his career, he definitely does not. And he wants to be on the road as much as he can. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for sure, get him off of Monday Night Raw. Get him over to SmackDown. If you do want to make him work with Roman Reigns, I feel like there is money there. I'm with you where they absolutely kind of just wasted that match whenever I think it was Survivor Series in 2019. Was it 2020 or 2019? I can't remember.
It was this past year. So 2020.
Oh yeah, was it? Oh man, yeah. They ruined that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that you could have built up. I mean, it's crazy because I actually watched the A&E with Stone Cold's biography, and just really quickly here, Jim Ross mentioned the whole Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold take your ball and go home incident, and he basically said that. Yeah, man, I wish I could remember because man, it was really good what he said because he was basically just what Jim Ross was saying on that documentary was that the Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold actually I did come back to me. So this is where you can fix it if you are editing or whatever. But anyway, Brock Lesnar, Jim Ross was basically saying that the match between Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold was just thrown together. That there was no build up to it, and it was a match that had dollar signs written all over it, and that was Stone Cold's problem with it. Jim Ross said it absolutely made no sense, and I do feel like obviously not to nearly the same extent whatsoever. But that's kind of what happened there. I mean, I feel like they kind of just ruined it. They kind of just gave it to us without any build. The build was just, well, you're the champion from Raw. I'm the champion from SmackDown. So here we go. Let's just go head to head here. And I just don't like that at all. I feel like it's a ruined Survivor Series. And that's a whole topic for a whole nother day. We definitely don't have to get into that. But just as far as Drew goes, yes, I would love to see him on SmackDown. He's one of the few guys who I feel like, I mean, I kind of thought about releasing a video or not a video, a podcast where I specifically talk about wrestlers who I think are 100% going to the opposite brand. And Drew McIntyre is one and Carmella is the other, just in terms of just swapping. I don't know the format they're going to do with that draft thing, if they're going to, just completely wipe it free and just let them build up the rosters from scratch, or if they're going to kind of pluck from here and there. But I feel like those two in particular are ones that you can almost guarantee are going to switch brands.
No, yeah, especially, I mean, Drew McIntyre he needs a clean slate, and a clean slate in the worst way possible if you're going to keep him as a babyface. Now, if you want to turn him heel, which I wouldn't recommend because they're really thin on babyfaces as it is, then certainly you can make McIntyre heel. We've seen him heel before. He's good as a heel. So I think eventually you're going to see McIntyre back as that heel especially when he came in as Shane McMahon's heavy, if we all remember that. So yeah, definitely McIntyre needs a refresh, a reset. And I'm not talking about bringing up the next, war generals or whatever weird history analogy he's trying to bring up that he can never really relate back to his promo. It's always just he brings up a story about Scottish wars or the American. Like I don't know what Thomas Jefferson. Like what are we doing here? I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I don't understand the analogy, but. Either way, McIntyre just needs, like you said, time away would do him wonders. Wonders for the fans missing him. Wonders for his career. Clear his head. Get himself ready. Do I think he's going to, do that? No. I don't think they're going to do it. They're probably not going to take a week off. I'm sure he doesn't want to, but the benefits of it would be, I think, very, very significant for the fans getting a chance to miss him. And really respect what he's done for us and the company over the last 16 months, whatever it's been. So, all right. Well, I do want to move on to AJ Styles and Omos and them as a tag team. And let me ask you. I'll toss it to you first. Like, what do you think they're doing with AJ Styles and Omos? Do you think this is a means to an end with AJ Styles eventually facing Omos and turning heel, or do you think they'll split quietly, or do you think they'll just remain a tag team? What do you think's going on with AJ Styles and this? I guess particularly since this is a week in review, this opening segment of Monday Night Raw with Ricochet and AJ Styles, and of course we had the New Day and all that kind of stuff. But what do you think?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because hearing you say that actually made me realize that I haven't thought about how the AJ Styles and Omos thing is going to end, which makes me actually interested in that because I do think that there are several ways to do it, but with how I think that they're going to do it, I don't think that they should do AJ versus Omos. I feel like that would, I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't really be interested in that, so I don't necessarily want to see it. I just don't really know what they can do because, I mean, AJ Styles clearly has a lot more days behind him than in front of him. I want to see him in at least one more time get a main event role or at least a main event program. So, I mean, it's tough to really think about it. I mean, because right now they are the tag team champions and they're booked like, I mean, who the hell is going to stop them with almost being booked as just an absolute force? It's tough to actually think about it, man, because I really haven't really tried to forecast how it's going to end. But if I were to guess, it has to, I feel like with their group, me personally, off the top of my head, I feel like it would have to be a turn by one of them. Somehow I don't feel like AJ would turn on Omos. I feel like maybe at some point it kind of gets to like where he's just disrespecting him. Maybe like they lose the championships because of Omos somehow. And then on a weekly basis, AJ kind of just starts losing and Omos isn't doing his part as much. And he starts to kind of be disrespectful to him. And, the crowd's like saying, like, when are you going to retaliate almost? When are you going to actually stand up for yourself and, put AJ in his place? And maybe eventually, just actually does that. That could be something now that I'm thinking of it that, makes sense to me. But I really haven't really thought too much about it. But, man, AJ Styles, he's somebody that I feel like Raw is extremely lucky to have on their roster. It sucks that he's being underutilized right now or at least maybe misused. Just given that there is a desperate need for baby faces on the roster, and you have a guy like AJ Styles who, I mean, he can be heel or babyface, but I mean, he's more than capable of being a top babyface. So I would love to see that. I would love to see it at some point with, I don't know if I want to see it against Bobby Lashley though, because I like AJ Styles. He can go against bigger guys, but I feel like whenever he was going against guys like Daniel Bryan and John Cena, he even went with Seth Rollins for a little bit. Guys who kind of match his style. I feel like they're the ones who put on the best matches, although that's not what we're here for, but it's just pleasant to watch. So, I mean, I don't really know. I do think that at some point it could be, some sort of turn. And if I was going to guess, I would say Omos is going to be the one who does eventually turn on AJ.
Probably he does turn on AJ at some point. I don't know when they're going to plan on doing that, whenever they decide that the value of AJ Styles as a singles competitor is higher than him in a tag team, which I think is always the case. I don't think there's really an argument to be made that AJ is better in a tag team. I understand that the tag team division itself is thin too. But I think the value of AJ Styles is so much greater as a singles competitor than in a tag team, and I would sacrifice the tag team division and its depth for AJ Styles going on his own, because I think that's where the money is. Kind of like Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler and AJ Styles right now are kind of in a similar position.
Exactly, yeah.
And they don't belong in tag teams. At the same time, I'm always talking the other side of my face saying, well, they don't do anything with the tag teams. Everything's so thin. Well, you have to look at it this way too. Like, they were singles competitors that just got thrown into a tag team division on their own. Like, they made a career out of being single stars, and then they get thrown in together with a random person as a tag team. That's not a true tag team. Like, when you think of real tag teams, you think about people like the Viking Raiders, right? Like, they feel like a tag team, not just two individuals stuck together with the label of a tag team. So
exactly, yeah,
that's the problem. Yeah.
And so, sorry to cut you off, but I do feel like that there is a difference between, or at least you can, pound the table for them to bring tag team wrestling back and, actually want it to be, featured on the show in a prominent way. And on the same side, you can, complain about them putting single stars who shouldn't be in a tag team, because I feel like you can have both, because they have tag teams that they unnecessarily split up, tag teams that are straight up tag teams, Alpha Academy, or no, not Alpha Academy, American Alpha. Who else? The Riot Squad,
Iconics.
The Iconics. Yes. Heavy Machinery. There's so many tag teams that are true tag teams that they, for whatever reason, they just split them up. And whenever they do build, a pretty good tag team, or like a group that kind of forms organically, like who was it? Andrade and Angel Garza, and then Austin Theory. Like, they have a group, and for whatever reason, they just cannot help themselves, and they split it up. So yes, I agree. I'm one of the guys who loves tag team wrestling, and I'll pound the table, but I won't sacrifice that, or I don't love tag team wrestling enough to just say, yeah, go pluck a guy who's, a hell of a single star and put him in a tag team just so we can have tag team wrestling. Like, I feel like you can have both. Take care of your tag teams that you already have. Don't split them up. Keep them together, and you have a roster and you have a division already there built. We don't need more single stars. Nobody cares to see Heavy Machinery like Otis or Tucker. Nobody wants to see them in a singles role. Look at Otis now. He's automatically back in a tag team. You shouldn't have split him up in the first place. So I feel like, yeah, the tag team problem is self-inflicted by WWE, that they kind of put themselves in that hole, and then we're kind of just the ones who have to deal with it. So, I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to there.
No, it's fine. I think that the tag team division for a long time was just completely ignored. I mean, it felt like they just forgot they could even do tag team wrestling, and then they focus on it for a while, and then it goes away, and it kind of flares up and goes away, and flares up and goes away. But I don't think that the net gain that they think they're getting from bringing a big single star and putting them in a tag team is going to outweigh them in a singles role chasing a top championship. I don't think that's ever the case, because as you said, I'm not a guy that's going to sit here and go, tag team wrestling's so damn good and so important, I don't care what they could do solo. No, we all know the big money, of course, is in single stardom. Like, always been the case. I think that will continue to be the case. But when you look at AJ Styles, the fact that he won the championships, the tag team championships at WrestleMania, wonderful. I think that was great. And then they just forgot about them for 4 weeks, brought them back, and then they're like on and off Hulu, which is tells me what they think about tag team wrestling. It's really a crime that AJ Styles is never on Hulu, nearly ever. Of course, until he just recently got back into relevancy. And then, he's still in this deal with Omos, which I don't dislike him. I think he's fine. But I think that AJ Styles, especially when there's a massive need for a babyface character on Raw, especially the caliber of AJ, why the hell is he buried in a tag team? I understand he's a heel right now, but he can be a babyface. He was a babyface for a long time on SmackDown. I mean, he was the face that ran the place. He was the whatever catchphrase he said on SmackDown on a weekly basis. That is AJ Styles, not this guy that's stuck in a tag team. And I don't know. Yeah, I just think that in a world where we have really limited star power, you don't bury one of your top guys in a tag team for the sake of building a monster heel like Omos. Is that the point? I don't know. But any other thoughts on this?
No, yeah, I think we covered that one.
All right. Well, moving on to, let's see what I want to talk about next. Oh God, do I dare? Eva Marie. Back to the women's division here. again, this is not going to be any kinder than the review we gave earlier. And this is not a shot at the women. It's a shot at creative and management and their really complete lack of I don't want to say respect, but it's close to saying that word for the women's division. And we had this past week, Asuka and Naomi versus Eva Marie and Piper Niven, because, well, I mean, Dewdrop, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they, that name, like, why she had a name, like, why, and she was going to say her name in the promo with Eva Marie, and then Eva Marie cut her off. Well, why are you allowing someone to speak your name? And what's the attachment? Why are you not even, you've got so low respect for yourself that you're not going to speak up and tell somebody what your name is? I don't know. So they name her Dewdrop. Like, is that supposed to be a play on her weight? I guess that she's shaped like a water droplet. Like what? Like,
yeah. Yeah, sorry again. And
No,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's, no, and one thing I was going to say, because I actually I watched that segment this morning, so it's pretty fresh on my mind. And very clearly, like you just mentioned, she was about to say her name and Eva Marie cut her off. But if you look at Eva Marie, she literally looked at her up and down. Like, it was clearly that she was looking at her body. And that's when she said, Dewdrop. She kind of just did like that. So I was like, wait, so they're making it obvious that that's why her name is that. But yeah, go ahead.
No, well, I'm glad you brought that little detail up too, because then, that does confirm that that name is based off her body shape, not off of anything else, which is, again, making the case for the regression of the women's division that's happening right in front of our eyes. Like, why are we all of a sudden body shaming Piper Niven? I mean, are we going to say the same thing about Nia Jax? She's the very similar body type. Are we going to? I mean, like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not all for. I'm not a sensitive guy. I don't get offended on behalf of somebody else. I'm not sitting here, protesting WWE outside their headquarters with a picket sign or whatever. But my point is, if you're all for the women and all for them progressing and all for them in main events and all that, and I am too. I am. Why are we suddenly going back to sexualizing, objectifying, and body shaming the women? I mean, it's essentially what we've done here and WWE has done, not us. WWE Creative has done over the last several weeks are those things. And it doesn't do anything for Piper Niven. It doesn't do anything for the show. I guess it's supposed to be for the heel heat on Eva Marie. I don't think that helps her at all either. Because she's a part of this. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I just really don't know what the hell to think about Eva Marie. Like, I mean, she even said it's been 5 years since I've stepped inside of a WWE ring, and I was like, holy hell, it's really been 5 years? Like, that's crazy to me that it's really been that long. And the fact that if it has been that long, then, I mean, we are still in the exact same spot that we were in. She's still doing the exact same stuff. I've not seen a lick of in-ring talent whatsoever. I mean, I just haven't seen her compete, I mean, I haven't seen her even try, so I'm really not, too invested in that. I mean, yeah, she's nice to look at, I mean, that's about it. That's about all she has going for her. I'm honestly more interested in that Piper Niven or Dewdrop, whoever it is. I'm interested to see, like, if she's going to be a mainstay here on the roster, because I hope so. I feel like that's somebody who could get, because Nia Jax, she's really that only, upper weight class, that bigger girl who's like a force. There's really nobody that can compete with her other than maybe Tamina. I mean, that's pretty much it. So I feel like you could get more of the bigger girls here in WWE. I feel like that's kind of you're missing the boat there with that, because I mean, you could have more dominant forces than just one. You could have competition for them. But I mean, I don't really know. I feel like it's on both shows. This whole problem that we're dealing with the women right now. If you look on Raw, I mean, we don't really talk about it very much, but Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, I'm pretty surprised that that their in-ring gear is greenlit on a weekly basis, especially Mandy Rose. It's just super revealing, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I'm like, man, I'm surprised that they actually do that, just given, like, how, I mean, she's a pretty beautiful woman. We could just leave it at that. But, and then you look at Carmella over on SmackDown. They're doing it in that way. And then now Eva Marie, and just, it's on both shows. Because, I mean, I would like to say, well, yeah, it's only on Monday Night Raw that they're doing this. No, it's on both shows. SmackDown's just as guilty of this stuff. So, it's just, man, it's one of those things that I don't want to get back into it and get, like, on that same rant that I was kind of going on. I just really wish that they would see kind of what they have, and I'm hoping that Becky Lynch is that shot in the arm that everybody's waiting for. On the women's division, everybody's kind of like, man, when's Becky getting back? She's kind of been teasing it the last few pay-per-views, kind of however she wants to do it, whether she's using social media. I I mean, we all know that it's coming up, so we can all get excited for that. And I just hope that that's the shot in the arm that the women's division needs, because, man, it's rough, especially if you're talking about the tag team, the women's tag team division. I mean, Natalia and Tamina, they're kind of just going back and forth from Dana Brooke and who is it? Mandy Rose, like we we're just talking about, and then I don't even know if there's even another team on the roster. I really don't think there is one.
I don't know. They may just be kind of the people backstage that they pan a camera to watching another match like they did this past week, and just to remind you that they're the tag team champions, even though they don't have competition. And that's it is a little concerning. I mean, they just also broke up another tag team, as we all know, a month ago or so, when they fired Ruby Riott. So there go the Riott
and then
squad. Lana gone.
Yeah.
Not that I particularly I wasn't interested too much in her, but so they broke up two tag teams right there in a tag team division that is already paper thin. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the women's division in terms of tag teams. Perhaps call-ups. I mean, of course, Becky Lynch, but Becky Lynch is not going to be involved in the tag team scene. So I don't know what they're going to do. It could be just kind of once every few months that we see these individual Natalia and Tamina face a tag team. It's going to not exactly be the focal point of SmackDown, that's for sure. So maybe they just head to NXT, because I'm not saying permanently, but they, as champions, are supposed to be able to float between brands anytime they want because they're the champions. So maybe they head it over there. I don't know.
But that's the thing that kind of gets me, because they created women's tag team belts on NXT, so it's kind of like, it's like, it's almost like, man, I feel like that wiped that aspect out. And if you do, like you just mentioned, call ups, I feel like if you were to call up a tag team from NXT, it would hurt that division. So I feel like, man, they're putting themselves in a pickle here, and I feel like just creating one tag team division was a little bit of a questionable move. And now that you have two of them, good luck. That's all I really got to say there.
Yeah, no, it's a tough spot, and like we just alluded to at the beginning of the show, and continues to kind of run a theme through, the women's division is just a disaster right now, and including Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. I guess let's move there. Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. Not much to say this week other than Adam Pearce announced another match for Money in the Bank, that it'll be a rematch. Given that we had Rhea Ripley get intentionally disqualified for the table spot, which was hilarious. And I said this because they just can't figure out what rules they want to abide by. They had immediately the next match, Randy Orton slamming his opponent on the table multiple times, and slamming not just his body, his head onto the table. And that's not a disqualification. We had this past week on SmackDown with Jimmy Uso facing Dolph Ziggler, and he did a zigzag on the steps, and that wasn't a disqualification. So there's no consistency in their rules here. I mean, it's just blindly, just kind of the blind leading the blind there, and I don't know what to think about it. But yeah, so we got a match though at Money in the Bank. Are you surprised by this, or you think it's kind of a holdover until, of course, the kind of predictable, but maybe not, Becky Lynch returns, and this is just another hold me over?
Yeah. I mean, I did kind of expect it, but I was definitely disappointed whenever I heard Sonya Deville, which I don't know about you, but it kind of seems like Sonya Deville, she kind of just like almost like, no pun intended, bows down to Charlotte almost. She gives her way every single time that Charlotte asks for something.
They haven't actually played that out though. Like, it's kind of here and there, and you said, but maybe they're not going to go anywhere, or they don't even know where they're going with it. But yes, it does. That is a thing that we're supposed to pay attention to, I think.
Yeah, because I remember now that you mentioned it a couple weeks ago, she's the one who let Charlotte in the building that one time. So there is a little bit of, she continues to give her way. But I was kind of disappointed whenever they mentioned it, just because we had just gotten the match the night before at Hell in a Cell. And then Money in the Bank is 3 weeks away. So Sonya Deville said, all right, well, now we're going to get a one-on-one match at Money in the Bank for the Raw Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. And I was like, man. So we got 3 more weeks of this, basically the exact same stuff that we've gotten here, leading up to Hell in a Cell. And I mean, it's kind of just, they're kind of running in place, or at least that's kind of what I get from it. Honestly, I haven't paid as much attention to this storyline here recently, just because I haven't really been as interested in it. I mean, and I do try to watch Raw, as detailed as I watch SmackDown. I don't take notes on it or anything, but I definitely, I try to pay pretty close attention to it. But this is just one of those programs I feel like it's kind of repetitive, And I don't really know. I mean, especially now that we're going to go 3 more weeks in this, I do feel like it's only a stepping stone, though. For who? I mean, I agree that it shouldn't be Charlotte. Becky Lynch is coming back. We need her to have a new dancing partner, somebody that we haven't seen her go with. And Charlotte's the one that, I mean, she's Becky Lynch's Kevin Owens if Becky's Sami Zayn. You know, we've seen them go thousands of times. So we don't need to see it yet. You can build it up. Let Charlotte continue to go on this new version of herself, this more edgy version where she's just, you know, she has no filter. She's not biting her tongue. She's telling everybody how it is. We don't really know what she's saying, or whenever she is saying stuff, we don't really know if it's like, man, was she supposed to say that or not? Or at least whenever she first started coming back with this new version of herself, she was really kind of floating that line there, I feel like, calling people out for certain things. But yeah, I mean, I just because it was predictable, I mean, I do still think that these two women work well together. So I'm definitely going to be excited whenever their match happens, because I do feel like they always do put on a good match. But I don't feel like Charlotte, and I know you didn't really ask this, but I don't feel like Charlotte, I don't feel like she needs the championship just yet, but I can't see a scenario where she loses to Rhea again, if that makes sense. I mean, I understand her losing at Hell in a Cell, but I don't see her winning again. I don't see Charlotte losing again, at least clean anyways. I don't see that happening. So are you with me on that, or do you think that Charlotte captures it?
I don't think she captures it. If Becky Lynch wasn't on her way back, you know, and maybe she's not, but all signs point to she is. So let's assume she is. Then yeah, you'd want to see Rhea and Becky immediately upon her return, because we've seen Becky Charlotte, like you said, many, many times. Plus, we also have Becky Lynch with a great stake to claim that she never lost it, that she had to give it up. So it's not like she's just being interjected into something that she doesn't deserve, because she does. She gave it up because she had to with her pregnancy. So certainly she has something to fall on there, and I don't think fans would be resentful of that, and they'd be so excited to see her back. The fans are going to explode. I expect at Money in the Bank, actually, you know, maybe 1 or 2 returns in front of fans. I think that it's going to be a pay-per-view where you do see that, and it's not just waiting until Raw or SmackDown. I mean, they're going to make Money in the Bank a big pay-per-view, I think, with surprise returns, and Becky Lynch could be one of them after Rhea Ripley cheats to win or does something again to evade Charlotte and continues to play the heel role. Again, this is heel versus heel, so you got to interject a massive babyface into this sooner than later, and Becky Lynch, I think, is going to be that massive babyface. It's interesting to me, though, that Adam Pearce made this match but didn't put any extra stipulations on it to prevent Rhea Ripley from doing it again, right? Like, it was just saying, There's a rematch. I'm like, well, okay, Adam, you're getting paid a lot of money to make these important decisions. Why aren't you saying no disqualification, or if you get disqualified, the championship changes hands? I'm just like, dude, this is not solving the problem. You're putting the same match out there with the same stipulations, risking the same outcome. But I don't know. Did you notice that too?
Yeah, I definitely did. And I kind of said to myself, well, I guess maybe they can add something, but you're right. I mean, I kind of felt like they're kind of going backwards here. I mean, they had the opportunity at Hell in a Cell, I guess, to make, I mean, I don't really know. I feel like this match is kind of, or the program itself, kind of just got a little bit of backwards booking. The way they position Hell in a Cell, I feel like it's kind of weird just as a pay-per-view itself, because it's weird having them fight at Hell in a Cell. They have their match inside of Hell in a Cell, and then they have another match. You know what I'm saying? They're like, the Hell in a Cell shouldn't be the first match, I guess. Like, it should be the match that they have after Rhea Ripley gets away with, a fluke victory. All right, well, now you guys are going to be locked inside Hell in a Cell. There's really nothing you can do here. So I feel like that's a little bit weird. But yeah, I mean, hopefully something can get added there, maybe a no DQ or something like that. Or yeah, like you said, if you do get disqualified, you lose your championship. So there are ways to do that for sure. But yeah, Becky Lynch, I can't wait to see her back. I mean, I know we've kind of talked about that a lot on this episode, but I feel like I can't say it enough. And it would be poetic justice, like you mentioned. I mean, Money in the Bank just a year ago, that's whenever she left. So for her to actually come back almost, I mean, I know it's probably not exactly a year, given I'm not sure if the pay-per-view schedule lines up like that, but I do know that, I mean, just for her to come back around the same time would be pretty cool. And I feel like you've mentioned multiple times, Money in the Bank last year was an absolute disaster. They have to get that bad taste out of our mouth, and I feel like it'll be the first pay-per-view with fans. We deserve a good pay-per-view, and I think we're going to get one. I really do.
I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, I would argue this is their biggest secondary pay-per-view that they have. I mean, of course, we all know the Big Four: Survivor Series and Rumble and Mania and SummerSlam, but this one is probably at the top of the secondary tier in my mind. And the matches, obviously, the Money in the Bank ladder matches itself are highlighting it, but yeah, I mean, Becky Lynch coming back would be a big deal. I wouldn't even mind if she doesn't come back with the orange hair. I know that's a staple of hers and it's part of her marketing, so she probably will. But I've seen pictures of her over the last several months with her and her child and Seth, and I think she looks better without that orange hair. Again, I know it's a staple and part of her marketing, so she and her brand, and she won't. But I actually wouldn't mind if she just kind of came back like kind of with the natural hair color and just coming back as her rather than the gimmicky orange hair. But I'm not going to care if she does, but it's just one of those things. I'm like, I look at Instagram, like she looks like really good and normal, like as like a normal human being. She's not trying to play a character, so to speak. Yeah, anyway, I know we're kind of fantasy booking out here a few weeks, but anything else here before we on to the next topic here?
No, I think we're pretty good. Just, I mean, like you already know, I'm definitely excited for Becky Lynch. So as soon as she comes, I will definitely, I'll be a happy WWE fan here.
Yeah, definitely, and so will I. So, and I'm sure the rest of the women's division will be as well. So, all right. Well, I think that's not it here, but I do have Shinsuke or Kinshe. How do they say it? It was like. They morphed the word king into Shinsuke.
I must not have caught that part.
Yeah, like they somehow did it, and I can't do it because I'm not that articulate. But they morphed king and Shinsuke into something. But nonetheless, Shinsuke Nakamura is crowned king, and Baron Corbin is the just dejected heel backstage, really in tears. He's now just known as Baron Corbin because apparently he can't just purchase another crown that looks exactly like that because WWE didn't give that to him. I don't think. I think he just kind of made it himself. But nonetheless, he's no longer a king because Shinsuke Nakamura took it from him and won the match last week. And I don't have much to say with this on Shinsuke's side. I guess it's interesting. It's better than Shinsuke just kind of completely being forgotten in the SmackDown roster, which felt like he has been for a while. But really, this is to me about Baron Corbin from what we saw backstage and him being brought to tears and just now being Baron Corbin. Did he say, and maybe this was somebody else, he said that my time is now. Somebody said that on SmackDown, and I'm thinking to myself, that's a hint at John Cena. I don't know. Somebody said my time is now. It may not have been him. Somebody else had said it. Anyway, Baron Corbin, I think, is going through a character change. I think that's fairly clear. Perhaps he's being transformed into a baby face, given that he showed emotion. How did you take this backstage segment with Baron Corbin watching Shinsuke, with the crown and being completely dejected here?
Well, it was actually pretty interesting because I was wondering as the the ceremony was going on with Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura, as it was going on, all they were doing, he got introduced and they were just rocking out. Like that was it. So I was like, wait, like, is that it? Are they not going to say anything? And then the camera cut backstage to Baron Corbin. And I was like, oh, okay, this is why we're doing this, to get a little bit of an answer for what's happening next with Baron. And I thought it was kind of funny. Kayla Braxton accidentally called him King, or she started Baron Corbin, and that just like broke his heart. And yeah, he said something along the lines of, I didn't just lose my crown, I lost investments and a lot of other stuff. And what's the point? And just walked away. So I do feel like you're right there where you say that obviously character change is coming. The fact that he did show emotion and a side of him that we really haven't seen before, like actually like looks like somebody got the better of him, like emotionally, like he's actually like sad. He's never been sad before. We've seen him get embarrassed because he lost for whatever reason, or, I've seen emotions from Baron Corbin, but I've never really seen him like cower away from something like this. And it was just weird that I guess it was just weird for me to see. I've never seen this side of Baron Corbin, like I've said multiple times already. But I mean, personally, I do want to see him come back as, why not try him out as a baby face? I mean, he's been a heel, and I feel like he's a good heel. I feel like if he's booked properly, he could be a good heel. I was there at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio whenever he eliminated Braun Strowman by himself, and the crowd went crazy for him. And I was literally part of it, and it was just insane. And he literally really hasn't done anything since then. So there's something there. I do know that Vince McMahon loves him because just a little bit of a side note here. People know that Baron Corbin actually had a little bit of an NFL career. He wasn't like a starter or anything. He was always like like a practice squad type player. He never really made the team, but he did actually play on the Colts with Pat McAfee, and they're both on SmackDown right now, obviously. And he's actually stayed on, like, he slept on Pat McAfee's couch and stuff like that. So they're actually pretty close. And I've seen multiple interviews, Baron Corbin on Pat McAfee's show, and you can kind of see that side of him that I feel like he would be a good babyface if we actually gave him that opportunity. So I'd be interested if they were to show us that side of Baron Corbin. I would definitely buy in at first just to see what they would do. Because just being completely honest here, it's hard to take him serious anymore, just in general. He's kind of been a laughingstock. He's literally been walking in place for years now. Absolutely nothing to hang his hat on other than failing the Money in the Bank cash in. Having one good elimination in the Royal Rumble, yeah, it was Braun Strowman, and it was cool to see. But I mean, is that really all is that really all you have here? So I don't really know. I mean, I felt like it's time. It's definitely time. It felt right that happened. I didn't necessarily expect it, but I do feel like whenever it was happening, well, I guess that makes sense. Whether he's taking a little bit of time off or just going to come back a different version of himself, I'm all here for it. So are you there too? Did you think Baron Corbin should be a babyface?
I think we've seen the Baron Corbin heel character play out as much as it possibly can. I don't think Corbin gets the respect or adoration that he deserves with how, he's good on the mic, sometimes really good on the mic, and I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves because I think he's been a victim of bad booking with his character of never getting the big victory. Almost ever getting the big victory. They can't even allow his character to build heat for a week before being the butt of a joke or getting a roll-up loss or something along those lines. So they never really allowed his character to breathe and get heat. There were so many times that he again get a little bit of heat on the one at the beginning of the show, and then by the end of the show he's looking up at the lights, 1, 2, 3, I lose the match. I mean, I don't think creative did him any favors in that respect. I also think that Baron Corbin is right now in need of a change. Like you said, it's been a long time since we've seen Corbin as a babyface, if ever. I've never seen him as a babyface. Maybe somebody did in NXT, which I didn't follow him back that far. So I think Corbin could easily transition here. I don't know what a babyface character would look like for him. Clearly, I think that's the signal here, though, because what other emotion are we supposed to have as human beings watching someone else break down? I mean, because it's called sympathy, right? I mean, as much as we've kind of looked at Baron Corbin, and I never hated him because I never had a chance to, as I just mentioned. But at the same time, looking at him and going, wow, why do I feel bad for this guy? A guy that has been just a jerk for how many years, but now I feel bad for him in this moment. It's clearly a transition to a babyface character. I just don't know what does a babyface Baron Corbin look like? I don't even know. I can't even venture a guess. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah. It would have to be something different for sure. I mean, it would take some work. Definitely would take some getting used to. I feel like it would have to be something that kind of like with Roman Reigns, they really took their time here when they turned him heel and they actually, put a lot of thought into it and made it feel real, it made it feel like, damn, this is a real Roman Reigns here. Like, where has this been all these years? I feel like Baron Corbin, I mean, why not? Why not put that time in that investment? Not to the same degree. We're going to come back with like a movie quality theme song and have him go after the world or the WWE championship, but you can still put the time into developing his character or just, completely scrapping it and just make him come back as something else. Do that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I feel like if you're going to do it right. Take the time that it deserves. And don't just bring him back, switch his song up and give him a little bit of new gear. Don't give him like the Nikki Cross treatment or like the Ricochet treatment where he just comes out with pants now. And he's like, I'm not sure if that Pretty Ricky thing ever even got off the ground. But as far as Baron Corbin goes, yeah, I have no idea. Well, I mean, for sure, I've never seen that. I don't think it's ever been a thing. And he could be one of those guys that's just more natural as a heel. And he's just in a little bit of a rough spot. But it's hard to say he's in a rough spot given that it's been years, So I feel like, might as well. I mean, you got to see what you have with this guy because him as a heel right now isn't going to get nowhere impactful, I guess. I mean, he's just going to continue to be at the bottom of the card, this type of stuff. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I want to see a different version of Baron Corbin, and even if it means a babyface, I mean, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's got nothing to lose. They've squeezed every ounce of juice they can get out of the heel run for him after several years of this really the same kind of heel character, and he was part of he was like he was an authority figure on Monday Night Raw for a while, and he was part of the Kurt Angle, or he was the final match for Kurt Angle, which we all know was just we all knew it should have been John Cena in that match, and for reasons that we couldn't get that match. And anyway, so yeah, I'm finally ready and I've been ready for a babyface run for Corbin. I'm so curious to see what that is, and if the fans get behind it or buy it or don't, or whatever that looks like. So, well, I want to move on here to a couple final things on SmackDown that we didn't talk about. And that is Cesaro and Bianca Belair versus Seth Rollins and Bayley in a mixed tag team match. Now, again, we all know the rules here, which are the men fight the men, the women fight the women. At the same time, that's not true, because as long as the men don't lay their hands on the women can, do whatever they want to the men. That's just always the case. Nonetheless, we do have a match here, or a point where Cesaro bumps into Rollins, or what happened at the end of this match here? I'm drawing a blank.
Well, Bianca had Bayley in like the position for the KOD, and Seth Rollins accidentally, air quotes, bumped into Bianca Belair as if he couldn't see it because he had his hand over his eye, so he acted like he couldn't see. And then Bayley took advantage of that, hit a knee to the face, and then eventually got the win on Bianca. But the thing I take away from this is it's completely like noticeable, the chemistry that Bayley and Seth Rollins have together. And I mentioned this on the SmackDown review a few weeks ago whenever we first saw these two kind of have that segment where they were just laughing in the ring together. Mm-hmm. And it brought me back to whenever Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch had that forced tag team together, and the chemistry wasn't there. And it took weeks and weeks for them to finally realize that, okay, we got to pull these guys apart on camera. And I feel like Bayley and Seth Rollins, they have what Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, or what they wanted Becky and Seth Rollins to have on camera. I feel like it's just natural chemistry. They both have that annoying laugh. They're both kind of doing around the same things. I mean, I know it's kind of a coincidence, but their theme songs were actually similar. Like the Bayley's current theme song right now, how it starts with like that choir type opening. Seth Rollins, whenever he was the Messiah, his theme song kind of started similar. And for those few weeks that was going on, maybe even longer, I feel like that was something that always kind of confused me. I didn't know who was coming out at first, and I think that's obviously just a coincidence to the chemistry that they actually have. But I feel like Seth Rollins clearly, as soon as he did his dirty work to Cesaro and that match was over, he immediately turned his attention to Roman Reigns. Went backstage. He was just celebrating with Bayley, and they were just poking fun at Bianca and Cesaro. And bam, flipped the switch, and he's automatically turning his attention to the Universal Championship. So I really liked seeing that from Seth. It does seem like him and Cesaro might be coming to an end here pretty soon if it's not already over. So that's kind of what I took away from that segment. I'm not really sure about Bayley and Bianca. I mean, do you think that maybe they might have another match here coming up?
Maybe one more time. I think maybe the thing is you'd think Hell in a Cell is the conclusion. But if there's going to be another match, perhaps they interject one more person into this and make it a triple threat at Money in the Bank. At the same time, they do need women to compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match itself. So perhaps they do keep it one-on-one because they're already thin on the women as it is to compete in the ladder match. But yeah, I'm with you on the chemistry between Bayley and Rollins. It is palpable. It's something, like you said, that only couples wish they could have on air. Sometimes they don't. And the weird chemistry that we had Becky and Rollins, Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins a couple of years ago it was awkward. I think it actually hurt both of them, especially Becky Lynch. It did not come across endearing. It was awkward. And this was just like, hey, these guys are Bayley and Rollins are just perfect for one another. I don't know what they can do with that, though, given that they're obviously in two different divisions with the men's and women's, and there's no such thing, obviously, as a mixed tag team championship. Like you can't do that. So I wouldn't mind seeing these two in more matches or more backstage interactions, but I don't know what that really leads to, because it's hard to have a destination with this kind of male female bonding as friends. I don't know what the end game is for this, but we have Bayley and Rollins defeat Belair and Cesaro here, and I think when you have the heels win, that does tell you that they're probably going to have a rematch of some sort at Money in the Bank. Really, both Cesaro and Rollins and Belair and Bayley.
Yeah, I would expect that for sure. But I guess one thing I was going to ask, about I think it might have been about Seth Rollins, or no, it was about the tag team because you said, "What are they going to do?" There's not a mixed tag division or anything like that. I feel like honestly, as soon as you said that, it's almost like a light bulb lit up over your head or my head or whatever. Because I feel like men's tag team division is a complete wreck. The women's tag team division is a complete wreck. So at this point, I mean, why not? Why not just throw it all together in one little division? And you have mixed tag teams, you have other tag teams. I mean, I know they'll never do that. Obviously, it's kind of just a joke, but I think that's funny. Like as you said that, like a light bulb literally like went over away. I mean, that's not too bad of an idea there.
I was muted. I don't think that you're going to have, and I agree that it's something you could do, but I don't think there'll ever be a division for it, and how. I don't know how this could work. I mean, we're spitballing an idea I don't think WWE will ever do, so I don't want to, take too much time on it. But at the same time, if you come across a man and a woman that are wrestlers that have really good chemistry, I'm not talking about romantic chemistry, like that's a separate story you do.
Yeah.
Like with, obviously with Otis and Mandy, like that kind of stuff is separate. But I'm talking like legitimate professional chemistry that you have with two individuals. Like, how do you monetize that when there's no division for it? What do you do with that? Because you're not going to have Bayley be the valet or a manager. Like, they're both active competitors, top of their tier. Like, I don't know how you monetize this outside of just endless mixed tag team matches. Like, that will run its course quickly. So I don't know, and because it's there's no platform for it, how you do it. I think probably this will just fizzle out because there's not really, you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah, and I agree. It'll definitely never happen. It's just kind of one of those things that it was funny to think about, and just kind of, it's one of those things like how much worse could it get, and I understand, like, obviously they'll never do it, but I just kind of think that it would be funny to see nonetheless.
Oh yeah, it would be, definitely. All right, well, what did you think? Let's see, this is the final thing I have, and then I'll toss it to you for anything else. We got a Money in the Bank we got the Money in the Bank qualifier with Big E and Apollo Crews that we had Big E end up winning because Commander Aziz got shoved backstage, and Big E hit the weakest looking finish of all time that we've discussed here and many times on the show, of the big ending. And that's when we talked about earlier, Big E made the statement about this is like, a fresh start of sorts. So we did get that with Big E winning, and that's fine because I couldn't have seen the Intercontinental Champion going into the Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't think there's a whole lot of things you could do there, and it wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense. But we also got Jimmy Uso versus Dolph Ziggler in a match that is supposed to be believed that if Jimmy Uso wins, then he's the right-hand man of Roman Reigns. This is weird to me because Jay is MIA. Jay is, we don't know where he is. This story, I think, has been really good, though, by the way. As we all know, not really good, great. And it's weird because we had Jimmy Uso say to Roman Reigns that I'm nobody's, what, PG show, guys. But he said, I'm nobody's, what. At the same time, I want to be your right-hand man, so how do I do that? I'm like, you just said that you're not nobody's lackey, for a better word, and yet you're also now asking how you can be your right-hand man. Well, that's a little bit contradictory. And apparently Dolph Ziggler is the gatekeeper, and he is the guy that is to be, the measuring stick of the brand for Jimmy Uso to defeat in order for him to become the right-hand man. It was a little weird there. And I don't know really what to say about this because I have been nothing but praising this story for 10 months or however long Roman Reigns has turned heel, 10 months ago. And this is like the first time that I'm kind of like, it's a little bit illogical here. Like Jimmy is kind of going against what he just said he is not by asking how he can be, your lackey. And also, why is Dolph Ziggler the guy that is going to be the gatekeeper for Jimmy Uso, a guy that, everyone on the roster has beaten Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's career is one of the most just bizarre careers of all time. I don't know. There's a little bit kind of a disconnect for me there, but I don't hate the story. This doesn't derail anything. But I don't know. What did you think about this with or Jimmy rather this week?
Well, I didn't really like how, the only thing I didn't like about this was how we didn't really understand why he didn't get the approval from Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Like they didn't really specify like, well, the match wasn't up to our standards, but why? Because I mean, he won with like literally, and that's another thing I was gonna say. If we could take anything good from this, it's that the match ended with a super kick, like Jey Uso's or Jimmy Uso. I do that all the time. I do that all the time on the SmackDown review, but Jimmy Uso, he finally hit a super kick and it won the match. And I was mind blown. I literally told my roommate as it happened, I was like, well, a super kick to the face. You would think that would win the match, huh? 1, 2. And I was expecting a kick out. Like I was like almost like laughing at it and mocking it as it was happening. And he actually did the 3 count. And I was like, I had to like shut up and like eat my words immediately on the spot. And I was like, hey, dude, I did not expect that to happen. That literally never happens. So the fact that it did, I thought that was cool. I do agree. I saw you tweet that earlier in the day. Zigzag on the steps. Like, what the hell? How does that not cause a disqualification? Like how is that any better than picking the steps up and just hitting him over the head with it? I mean, that could literally paralyze him. So I thought that was kind of a little funny thing. I mean, it was only a 10-minute match. That's what's crazy is these guys went balls to the wall for 10 minutes and they put on a hell of a match. Ended in a super kick, so I really liked it. I wasn't sure why I didn't get the approval of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. I guess they just still have a little bit of I guess animosity is the word to use. Maybe just they're still reluctant to believing that Jimmy Uso was actually committed to them. So I don't really know exactly what to take away from this other than they don't necessarily think Jimmy is, I guess, up to Jay's standards. I really don't know. I did think it was weird, too. Why Dolph Ziggler? Because Paul Heyman said, yeah, I'll get you a match tonight. I mean, is Dolph the only guy that you could find? I thought that was a little bit strange, too. But, I mean, I knew it was going to be a good match. These two guys always work well together. They're the two. I mean, when you talk about people who use the super kick and they abuse it as a transition move, these are the poster childs for that. These are the guys that actually have been doing that for years. So I knew that was going to happen. I thought that was kind of ironic that the match actually ended in a super kick here.
It was. I actually had to come back because like you said, when I hit the super kick, I looked away and I was just, I don't know, I was messing around in my kitchen and I hear the 3 count. I'm like, what? And I shouldn't have to feel that way. You shouldn't have to feel that way, that you look at it as a transition move, but we've been educated over the last several years that it's nothing more than really the equivalent of a clothesline. And it's great to see that once in a while it can end a match, because when you think about it, I mean, there's really not a more harmful shot you can give somebody than all the power of your legs and the weight of your body is going into someone's chin. It should be a knockout shot. That's why Shawn Michaels used it so effectively for his 20-year career. I mean, because it was just a brilliant finish. It should be sacred as a finish. So it was nice to see that it actually finished the match. Why is Dolph Ziggler anointed the guy to be the one to determine whether or not Jimmy is the right-hand man? I mean, like, and furthermore, why does Jimmy have to prove himself? Like, I mean, is him not being a part of the family enough? Like, right? Or like, why is Jimmy having to qualify himself to this position? Again, we're nitpicking at things that's otherwise been a great storyline. So this is not rant worthy. This is nothing more than kind of just a little bump in the road, which is from otherwise just been a great story, and one that I'm still very heavily invested in. And for the fact that it's gone this long, and this is the first time I've said anything critiquing the story, it's pretty damn amazing. And so, I'm not giving anybody a hard time on this. It's just kind of, when I see things that don't make sense, I point them out, right? Like, this is what we do. So, anything else on this, or really anything else before we close things out here?
No, I actually think that we did a pretty good job covering it. I mean, everything I had here on my notes, you actually were just knocking off, like one after the other. So I was like, man, this is actually going pretty smooth. So I feel like we did cover everything I wanted to talk about. I mean, one more time, just want to quickly say I'm excited. I mean, 2 more SmackDown reviews to do just regularly, and then that third SmackDown review, I will be in Houston, fresh out of the Toyota Center. And don't worry, guys, I will 100% be booing and cheering. I won't be going, to the grain and just doing whoever they want. No, I'm definitely going to voice my opinion. And Matt, I mean, if you got a shirt or something with the podcast on it you want me to wear or something like that, I'll definitely I'll do that for a little bit of free publicity or whatever.
Hey, awesome. No, let's talk separately about that. We'll message each other and maybe we can get some free advertising on WWE television and, that would be awesome. So, and guys, also breaking news. We have Piper Niven, who officially has changed her YouTube name, or at least the at part of her name, as WWE Dewdrop, or it was a Dewdrop WWE. So she has gone with the program and renamed herself. So there is that awesome breaking news. But everyone else, guys, listen. Check out the Football Function podcast as well if you want to catch more of Michael Ritter, who does an awesome job here on the SmackDown review. But if you want to get into football, as we're, again, just a couple months away, just this close to getting back into football, definitely check out Football Function and your Twitter, which is...
Yeah, the Twitter is at Michael5Ritter and my Instagram's at MichaelRitter5. Definitely thank you for plugging that, Matt. Definitely means a lot. And just so you guys know, there is a little bit of wrestling touched up on there on the other show as well, on Football Function. Just because, I mean, we have a segment called This or That, which is basically like before the show starts, we have just a little quick topic. I mean, we've done waffles versus pancakes, things like that. This past one, I actually did Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. Just, I mean, my co-hosts are also wrestling fans as well, so they like to chime in on that. So don't worry, you will get your little fix of wrestling as well if you go over there and or if you go over there and check me out over on Football Function.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think those listening would appreciate that, because if you're listening, obviously you're a wrestling fan, but I think a lot of our listeners are also football and baseball or basketball fans. So definitely you'll get the best of both worlds over there. So Michael, it has been a blast talking with you. And I hope you're doing well, and we will chat soon. And again, everyone go check out the Football Function podcast and him doing the SmackDown reviews every single week. So,
oh yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Get those mailbags in. I love it. That's one of my favorite episodes of the week, even including my own SmackDown review. The mailbag episode is literally one of my favorite episodes. And those of you who have given me shout outs on the show, I definitely appreciate that. And I definitely hear it. So, I mean, like I said, I definitely appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you'll continue to do so.
Awesome. Very good. Well, Michael, take care. We'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds good, bud. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.